Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Hello and welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Oh, yay indeed, Jimmy. Yay indeed. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Wissman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today. We're super excited. We're jacked. We're pumped for another death-defying, crazy, wild, falling from a plane to the ground and pulling the chute at the last second episode of Crime and Sports. Thank you, folks, so much for joining us.
Yeah.
We hope you're just as pumped up as we are. Thank you, folks, for all of your wonderful iTunes reviews this week. They do mean the world to us, and they keep us going up the charts, and it's a big deal. iTunes weighs those reviews heavily, so if you want to help out the show, please do that. Head over to iTunes, give us 5 stars, tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It doesn't really matter. It's not for our ego, it's just for business.
Right.
Speaking of business, Jimmy,
yes,
they want to help out on the business end. Oh boy, can they. You can do that. You can become one of our spectacular, amazing, wonderful, incredible producers who we will talk about at the end of the show in our shout outs. And that can be done so easily just by going over to patreon.com/crimeinsports or heading over to PayPal. Just use our email address, crimeinsports@gmail.com, and you can make a one-time donation over there. Every dime is more appreciated than we could possibly express into a microphone.
Right.
It is better expressed when we turn our light switches on and the room is not dark.
Turn the key in my ignition and the car starts.
It's amazing.
It does.
There's gas in the tank. So thank you guys so much for everything that you do for us on that level. It really, really means the world, and we cannot thank you enough. Seriously. Wild case last week, obviously. We've had a run of weirdos lately. And last week, no exception, as always. And this week we have just a strange, odd story. It's an inverted Olden Polonese. I'm going to call this. I'm going to Olden Polonese.
It's an Olden Polonese scheme.
It's a Polonese scheme. We're going to turn this triangle upside down, this pyramid.
He's the first one to block me on Twitter.
The Olden Polonese, yeah.
I
he
love
was blocking
that.
everybody
Took
this
us
week.
Forever to get blocked by somebody.
He cared. Whenever anybody would tweet it at him, he'd say "laugh out loud." But he wouldn't say "LOL."
No.
He'd say "laugh out loud."
He spelled it the fuck out.
I felt like that meant he was angry. I feel like if you spell it out, it means you're not laughing, really. You're actually upset about something. So, sorry, Olden Polonese, but I don't know.
Really
you did it. I don't know.
I'm really impressed
not
by you
fault.
because the famous ones are fun, obviously, because everybody knows who they are.
Yeah, the super famous
But the ones that I kind of know who they are, they're on the periphery, and then I find out.
Heard of them?
Right.
Yeah.
I had so many of that dude's cards.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing his face when I was a kid, I didn't know.
He's like a Vernon Maxwell or like a him or
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, those are my favorite cases. The ones where you're like, I remember that guy, sort of.
Right.
Holy shit, he was an asshole? I didn't have any idea.
Mushed his wife's face into a wall?
What the fuck? This is messed up. He pulled a gun on somebody? This is on his girlfriend in her driveway?
Right.
Shit's getting wild.
He's telling people he's a cop and he's not a cop.
Officer Polonese. We appreciate that. He could have you arrested.
Yeah.
And according to him, it's not true at all. It's what he tells multiple people last week. But he had this story where he started out, had such a hard life, and everything was so difficult, and the family life was difficult, and he had these problems up front where he got into trouble, health, and then also in the beginning of his career, he would say it's when all his legal problems happened, and then there was a point where he stopped getting in trouble, and then from then on, it was all positive, and it was all helping people in Haiti, and it was like, goodwill ambassador to this and that. Like, he became, the last 15 years of Polonese's life have been completely different than the 15 years we talked about previous to that. This is the opposite. This is a guy, you squeaky clean, leave it to Beaver. And just out of nowhere, he makes the dumbest decision you could make. And then on top of that, he compounds that by making a mind-bogglingly idiotic decision that makes it even worse. It's insane. It's the weirdest thing. This is a guy where it's like a lot of the guys I feel bad for. Yeah. I don't feel bad for this.
Not a little bit.
I feel a little bit bad for the way it went down in the end, and we'll talk about that. But I don't feel bad for him for the fact that he had no need to do this whatsoever. What he did, no need to. Just him being like shrugging his shoulders and being like, I think I'll be an asshole tonight. Yeah. That's the only thing it was. He didn't have a bad environment where he didn't have any good he had none of that. Everything was to his advantage. By the way, also at the end of the show, if we have time, I've got a lot of messages in the last few weeks asking for like just tidbits of more Rod Beck stories.
Oh, that's
from
awesome.
A bunch of people have been messaging me. Hey, can you throw out some stories? So if we have time, if we have time at the end, I'll just throw out a few Rodisms for some fun stuff from his playing days he told me about, and some good little personal quirks you guys might enjoy.
I should start just like in the middle of conversations when you're like, Rod, and then I'll be hold on, and just start recording, and then send you the clip, and you put it on your Facebook page.
It's true. I should do that. Yeah, I get asked about it all the time.
All the time.
Oh, because he's a great, entertaining, awesome dude, and just a fun guy to hang out with. So hopefully we'll get to that at the end of the show. But let's get to this first. Let's go all the way back to October 30th, 1966, when the birthday of a fine gentleman named Darryl Keith Henley. Okay. Darryl Henley is what he goes by. You may know him. He played in the NFL for 5 years. Oh. And big standout at UCLA, the whole deal we'll talk about. But
he got past the average. That's great.
He got past the, and the reason why he wasn't playing football anymore wasn't because he couldn't play football anymore. Really? It was because he was in prison.
He was unable to play football.
He was unavailable for games.
Somebody's unavailable. He's unavailable.
He's unavailable. Yeah. He was able. He was willing to run around and go after footballs. That's no problem. He had that covered. But he'd have had to do it from a federal penitentiary in another state would have been the issue. I think that they had a problem with. The NFL likes you to be able to be there for the game.
Be a reasonable distance from the practice facility.
You can't Skype into an NFL game and be like, I'll cover that receiver. That's not how this shit works exactly. Not at all.
Just have to get the playbook on Snapchat.
It really is. You can't figure it. It's very small. You have to keep expanding the window, and then it's no good. And the screenshots, they can't do that. So then you're really screwed.
And then they disappear.
And you're like, what was that play again? Fuck. It's fucking gone. I should have took a screenshot. Oh, never mind. God damn it.
And then if I take a screenshot, I look like a jerk.
Yeah, you look like an asshole.
I'm showing people what you send me.
The coaches are like, he's saving that to... Yeah.
He's sending that to Belichick for sure. He just sent that to Belichick.
So sending that to the Raiders, it's not even funny. I know it. The game plan is blown. See, this stuff was so much easier before all that. Well, 1965, it was a lot different. July of 1965 is when Thomas Henley Jr., who is his father, and he is...
Wait, he's a third?
No. We're Darryl Henley is our guy.
Oh, okay, got it.
Darryl Henley's father is a Thomas Henley Jr.
He's a junior.
Good
for him for breaking the cycle, but...
He didn't break the cycle because we'll talk about it, but Darryl has an older brother named Thomas the Third.
That's why.
That's why right there. He was just not the oldest. Otherwise, just for a mishap of sperm, he would have been Thomas the Third, and we would have had a junior's junior here. But we don't.
Unbelievable.
But we don't.
So that was his older brother.
His older brother played in the NFL too.
Really?
Well, for briefly in the NFL. He had injury problems, but his older brother's a great player also, and his younger brother was a good player. The father's a coach. We'll get into it here. The father, Thomas Henley Jr., we'll talk a little bit about him to kind of set the stage of how this family operates, because it's so important to set the backstory here. And I got to thank, there's a book called Intercepted by a guy named Michael McKnight. He's a writer, sports writer, and
that guy's
written
books for a lot of people.
Yeah, he wrote this book called Intercepted about this whole thing, and it's for a book about a criminal athlete and their life. Like normally that's like a 200-page book. This is like a 550-page book.
Shit.
Like he went up this story's ass with a microscope and really worked it out. And I got a lot of the just early life details from that book. All the rest of the shit, like the legal shit, I kind of, if there was a thought or something, I take it from the book. But otherwise, I kind of just took it from because that was written with Darryl. So that's to me a source
more
that's
personal.
Yeah, but it's not a non-corroborated source if it's a book from that person. I try not to give out facts based on what they say. I try to have facts
that
are
their side of the story.
Exactly. So I mean, Michael McKnight though he tries to play it fair, but he also is writing the book with Darryl. So it's not his fault. It's just I try to use more facts from the outside for that. But the beginning part's a lot out of that, and he did a really good job with this book. It's an excellent piece of work.
As a dummy and somebody that doesn't generally read, read. I would go the opposite if I didn't, because I don't have any forethought. I'd be like, oh, this is clearly the right story. It's coming from the guy.
It's coming from this guy.
He was there. It happened. But I forget that criminals, they fucking lie.
People always lie. Not even criminals. Everybody lies
just
to
embellish a story.
Especially if you're talking about something that was 10 years ago. You skew a fact even 10% this way to yourself, and then over time that becomes 50% skewed, and then it's even more skewed. And
over time you start believing even more that's true.
That's why we put music over in their own words, because it's like, take it for what it is. Right. This is melodrama coming from them and self-serving, and that was the whole point. It started out with Lawrence Phillips in prison sending self-serving messages. I was like, oh, this really needs some sappy piano music, because this is ridiculous.
And 500 pages, that's a big book.
It's a fucking book.
He discovered he went so deep in his ass, he discovered a new deep water squid or something.
I had to read a 500-page book this week, in addition to finding the rest of all the shit, and then doing Small Town Murder also. This was a rough research week this week. So patreon.com/crime and sports.
And enjoy the show.
Please pay me that I read.
Right.
You made me read all week. I'd like money for that, please, because I didn't want to read this book all week, but it was a really good book. Anyway.
Okay.
His father, Thomas Henley Jr., is from Texas. Yeah, he grew up just outside Waco, Texas. Okay. He was a 4-year letterman at West High School in football. He was a pretty good athlete, and he graduates from Waco. He has opportunities. He has a football scholarship offer at Prairie View A&M. So this is a good deal.
This is his dad.
This is his dad in the early 60s, late 50s, or early 60s. Here he's got he's from Texas. He's from a rural area.
That Texas lifestyle.
Living that, it's tough, especially
Friday Night Lights shit.
And these people are black too, mind you. So anything we say 60s, you got to put into perspective of black in Texas in the 60s is a completely different experience. Right. So and then he has a chance to go to college, which is fantastic for him. And but he finds out right after he graduates that his girlfriend Dorothy is pregnant.
Oh no!
This is going to be Thomas III here. So
may as well get a junior out of this fucking ruining my life shit.
If my life's going to be destroyed, might as well have a namesake. Let's do that. Might as well be able to go, come on, little Thomas, move your
turn, buddy.
Yeah, that's it. Maybe I could just blame him later because we have the same name. Maybe I could put some bills in his name.
For sure.
This is going to work out.
Absolutely.
So this guy, though, he was a really upstanding cat, this Thomas Henley. Real upstanding. Through his whole life, these people are upstanding, good. These are like the Cosbys, but the TV show The Cosbys, where no one's raped.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like, without money, though. Without money. But otherwise, they raise their kids strict. They have rules, but they're loving and caring, and they don't beat them, and they're generally just as good a parents as you can get for back then. So Thomas feels a sense that he needs to marry Dorothy and all of that. So he needs to get a job, too, if he's going to have a baby.
Fucking right.
Playing football for Prairie View A&M probably isn't going to pay the bills. No. So he decides
not his bills. He'll pay somebody else's bills.
Someone else's bills, not his bills, exactly. Not his and hers and Thomas and theirs.
It's not buying diapers.
No, it's not
but it's buying diapers for somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. So he marries Dorothy, and they didn't know what to do. There was not a lot of work around there. He was from there, and he was going to go to college, but there's not a lot of work. So in the 60s, what a lot of people did, California's had rushes over time. You got the 1840s gold rush. You have the World War II rush when everybody went out there, and especially a lot of minorities went there because there was federal jobs that didn't give a shit what color you were, and you go get a good job in one of these factories, making war material, and you're set then. So
and then the Haight-Ashbury district rush, where everybody went to go murder movie stars.
There was that. There was the hippie rush, but that was just a segment of white children that went there from suburban homes,
trying to get away from their parents who didn't want them to do LSD.
I'm gonna go. I'd like to be. It's worth it to me to be barefoot for months just to do acid.
Being fucked by everybody.
Being fucked by everybody. Everybody. I just can't take not having shoes on for months. That seems like the most uncomfortable, horrible thing ever, especially in a city. Good Lord.
It's not, and the clothes were ugly, but that was a time period too. Though.
Yeah.
It was the shower scene
the showers.
I don't do that.
No, the hygiene.
Can't do that.
If there was a different hygiene,
I might have done it.
I could see doing it. If you had a shower, someplace you could go, proper footwear, that sort of thing. I could see it would be fun.
Dress made of hemp.
Yeah,
at least scrub down.
It'd be a lot of fun, I would think, to go around, hang out, fuck everybody, and do acid. And when you're 18, that sounds great. Right.
Fuck that person, take a shower. Fuck another person.
That's the thing.
Take
you need a shower.
Right.
I feel like they skipped that very important part of it.
That's a very integral detail that they forgot.
Definitely. But
like the Donner Party for getting food. Like,
yeah,
that's
like,
very important.
Did we not? Fuck winter.
What the fuck?
Shit, I forgot about winter.
Little Timmy, you look appetizing.
When it gets cold out, animals go away,
right.
and then we don't
food.
get. Fuck, damn it. Well, who's the fattest one here?
Right.
Let's look around. Who's the fattest? That's the thing, yeah. When you're in any kind of long trip, you don't want to be the fattest one because you never know. It could fall apart at any moment.
That should be anybody's motivation to be in shape is just,
so you're not eating?
I don't want to be the fat guy that everybody eats.
That's true. Unless you're suicidal, and then if you want to hang yourself, you got to make sure to be hefty. Otherwise, you're going to choke. You need to... I always said if I'm going to hang myself, I got to bulk up.
Yeah.
If you ever see me like really bulking up and being like I'm trying to put on weight, I'm planning on hanging myself. That's all there is to it. I'm bulking up to hang myself so my neck will snap nice and clean. So worry about me if you ever see me just shoveling food into my mouth like a lunatic.
And at the very strong rope store.
Yeah, the very strong. Nope, that one won't do.
Right. I've been putting on weight. I'm going to need it a few threads stronger.
You got anything in a toe chain that I might be able to fashion into a noose?
You guys got any winches around here?
I really want this to work. Hold on, I got to get an engineer. I'm going to set up a complicated pulley system. I'll be back in a week. I need a plan.
I need steel braided wire.
Put a couple more pounds on, too. I'm not feeling quite heavy enough right now.
A toe chain.
A toe chain.
That's fucking great.
So in the 60s, though, this was another one of these times where a lot of black people went out there to find work. They were coming from the South, coming from the Midwest, coming from Texas and places like that because there was a lot of jobs out in California. California was booming. Right. So he came out there. He comes out by himself originally, leaves Dorothy there because he has no money. He has an aunt named Adela that lets him sleep in the extra room in her house in Baldwin Village, which is like it's like I think like Compton Watts. It's not near those aren't
it's not great.
It's not a good area though here.
But it's still California.
It's still better than Texas.
Right.
It's and also too. This is during the civil rights era, so there's riots like crazy in this around. So you're coming from Texas, which is reasonably quiet and reasonably mellow, and then you're going to this where socially this shit is blowing up, and so it's a different environment for them. But he earns enough money eventually by working hard and living at his aunt's house to bring Dorothy and his son Thomas III, mistake, from Texas. So this guy, I got to give him credit. Yeah. He's not a jerk off.
No.
He's a star high school football player with a scholarship offer that turns it down to marry his pregnant girlfriend.
And
goes
take
out
care of the kid.
And take care of the kid. Goes out to California to earn enough money and all that. And instead of fucking around on the beach and trying to find blondes with big tits, he actually put his nose to the grindstone, made money.
Black, James, they're asses. It's not the tits.
That's true.
It's the asses.
Well, if you're going for blondes, it's tits.
It's a good
I don't
point.
think you're not looking at...
It's L.A.
Yeah.
There's blonde big tits everywhere.
That's true.
Maybe you're looking for the blonde with the big tits and the big ass.
Well, that's going to be a rare... He's also looking for diamonds
that's a good point.
As he steps in the street, so who knows what's going to happen. Who knows, Jimmy? It's crazy, too, because he did it the hard way. When he came there, he came from Texas to L.A. on a Greyhound bus.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
like, he was sucking dick in a matter of days. Days. He was just blowing
outside
people
of
for
Stuckies or something.
For parts and for extra roles, for featured extra parts. The camera's going to be on me for 3 whole seconds? Yeah. I guess so.
Yeah.
All right, unzip yourself.
Where do you?
That's fine.
Just keep it away from my eyes.
Yeah, just not in the eyes, please. Tell me so I can close them.
A Greyhound bus from Texas to he was blowing people at Stuckies for that pecan log before movie parts. Like that trip is
That's
far.
So far through the desert too.
In a bus. We did it in a car
and it was
at 105 miles an hour and it took us 14 hours.
And it was depressing.
Miserable.
And that's to Phoenix, not to LA too. So tack another 6 in a car. Never mind in a fucking Greyhound bus.
That took him fucking 3 days.
Man, imagine that ride too.
No.
He had to have thoughts in his head of like I could be playing football and doing all this, and I'm literally on a Greyhound bus with all my worldly possessions on me. And then I'm gonna fucking go here and sleep in my aunt's room and hopefully make enough money to have a baby live with me. This is great. This has been my dream forever.
A dream.
Wow, at 19, that's what you want from your life, I would say. So he does it though, and when he saves up some cash and they rent a two-room apartment for the wife.
Not a 2-bedroom.
Not a 2-bedroom. 2-room. So it's like a 1-bedroom apartment basically for the child and his wife and him, and they settle down. They when Darryl's born in 1966, they describe him as he's very joyous. They all love him. His brothers all have very distinctly different personalities, and his older brother's kind of a studious, serious kind of a cat, and Darryl is a kind of a flamboyant, but not a dick, but not a jerk, just a real confident in himself. Okay. He's this middle child who's just full of, his older brother's a good athlete and all that, and he just looks at that and he's like, I guess we're all just great. You know, like it's, his parents are, I don't know what it is about him, but they instill a lot of confidence in him, and he always has a lot of confidence. He's always smiling. He's a very happy kid, has no problems at all.
Like the chipmunks. He's like Alvin.
Yeah, that's what and they said, his mother said he was hard to yell at even. Yeah. It was hard to scold because he was such a happy kid. Happy. And you were like, yeah, you don't really break his spirit here. He seems to be happy. That Darryl was always known as his mother's favorite type of thing because of his personality. They said he had, they also had a brother, Eric, later on that the parents have. The children didn't have the child themselves. The parents had him, and that's how it worked.
Biologically, that's impossible. I mean, to have a brother with your brother is impossible.
That's it, yeah. That would be very difficult anyway. And not recommended to try, honestly, either. I don't think it's going to take.
If you figure that out, you should probably for sure travel with the circus.
You should travel with the circus or some sort of medical conference. I don't know what. I don't know what a university medical center to have a team look at you. I figure because that's amazing.
It's fucking impressive,
especially children. Even more amazing if 10-year-old little brothers can impregnate each other and have a child that turns out to be a professional football player. That's impressive.
And
in my
also
opinion.
is your brother. That's amazing.
Not bad. Darryl apparently had a problem, of course, with having a little brother once his brother Eric was born because he wasn't the baby anymore and shit like that. So there was some strife there, but everything was fine. His father got a job at Western Union, and they got out of South Central at this point, and they moved to a place called Duarte. Do you know where that is?
No.
I've never heard of that.
I've seen the sign.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. Where the fuck it is, but they.
I wonder if it's up near Bakersfield.
It's in the San Gabriel Valley, an hour north of Watts. They said. That's
so it's close to. It's
close to LA. Yeah, it's commuting distance to everything.
It's probably on the way to Bakersfield.
Yeah, and it's probably for a 1,500 square foot house. It's probably $3 million to live there at this point in time. But this was kind of a working class place. Nothing fancy, but better than where they came from. It's just a step. He just keeps moving his family steps up as he can step them up. This is a amazing guy, honestly.
Staircase of life.
Not guy, too, family in general, because the mother's working, too, the whole time. She's always working, Dorothy. He's always working. They're very hardworking people.
It is depressing that this is maybe the first story in 127 episodes where that is a fact.
Well, we've had some.
Holden Polonius' family worked hard too, but they were super strict on the boys and didn't let them do shit.
Yeah.
This seems like an environment. Yeah,
a healthy environment. Yeah,
cultivating happiness.
That's true.
And enriching the boys and encouraging them to do better.
We've often said, and this is a question we've raised many times: is it better for these athletes' fathers, who are usually assholes, to stick around and beat the holy shit out of anybody that they can reach, or to just leave? Like, which is actually better? And we haven't figured it out.
I think we have found it today, and it is don't do either of those.
Yeah, well, out of the bad ones, because we have like Art Schleister, whose dad was very involved in his shit, but he also like ruined his life at the same time, helped ruin and destroy him. So it was like that's a bad father who's paying too much attention. So this is the first. This is probably the best family we've had so far, and there's been a few that were pretty good, but
decent
this is a damn good one.
This is fucking amazing, though, for the father to already in the first 10 minutes of the story give up on everything that he ever wanted.
Just for his family.
Just for them.
Yeah, just no problem.
It's amazing.
He says, Darryl says about this time, he says the place they moved, quote, everybody on that whole street, man, they liked each other. And everybody in that neighborhood knew TH and TH's son. So that's Thomas Henley. Everybody called him TH, apparently, for some reason. I don't know why.
Tom is very easy.
Tom's easy.
I don't know why we're doing
more
TH.
syllables for TH.
This
but
is ridiculous.
Fuck it, he's TH. Maybe there was already another Tom.
Maybe.
I have no idea. Fuck, who knows?
Probably.
a guy named Chris Hale, who was coached by him and Pop Warner, because his father becomes a football coach too, in addition to his working all the time. He's also a football coach, and a very, very good one.
Really?
Youth football coach. There's tons of kids that still remember this guy as the guy that shaped their life. A guy who played for him named Chris Hale, who would play in 2 Super Bowls later on.
Really?
This guy in the NFL. He said, quote, Thomas Henley was a man's name. TH was a legend, is what he says about it.
That?
Yeah. So it's a different type of thing. Also, he was called, somebody said that he was the consummate coach that you didn't want to play for. I shouldn't say didn't want to play for. It was more like we're scared to play for him. You knew he was a good coach. You knew he was a good man. You knew you were scared of him because he was a good man. Like, he wouldn't let you get away with any bullshit.
This is why he's a great father.
This is why he's a great father. Yeah, he'd look at you. He was Bill Cosby in the show.
Yeah,
minus the all the rape stuff and the pills and everything.
And being funny. He was dead fucking serious.
Yeah,
you're gonna listen to me.
This guy's dead fucking serious. Yeah. He's such a good, and he's got such a reputation as just being a stern guy and this guy that everybody respects. Apparently, one night, someone broke into his car and stole the radio out of his car. So he found out who did it through the neighborhood because people respected him enough.
Around asking questions.
Like a mob boss would do. Like, it's like Sopranos when they were looking for AJ's teacher Saturn, and they sent Pussy and Paulie around to ask questions to figure out who stole it. It's the same thing, except it's this guy going around. You know, who stole my radio?
The football coach.
Yeah, and somebody told him eventually, so he goes and knocks on the dude's door.
Oh boy!
Which this is just some straight up shit. You steal my shit, motherfucker? Like, that's amazing.
You got a Sony in there?
Yeah, they said by the end of the night he had his radio back, and the guy installed it back in his car for him and everything. Like, just, he's like, sorry about that. Let me put that back for you.
A couple of friends will come by and splice those wires that I cut.
That's the type of respect that dude had in the neighborhood. So when you grow up with a dad like that, there's a certain, I don't know, you have a certain level of respect you have to have for yourself.
Yeah.
And otherwise your dad will make sure that you do. And the mother too. We're saying this about him because he did a lot outside the home, and that's that with the football and everything, but the mother was the same way.
Yeah.
Dot was just as demanding. They had to be, their grades had to be good.
Yeah.
They had to do what they were supposed to do, not get in trouble, no running the streets, do your chores, play your sports, play them properly. Like, there was definitely a plan laid out for these kids here, and they weren't rich. Like 1969 when the brother was born, for 4 years, all 3 brothers slept in the same bed together. That's how. That
sounds horrific.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's how it worked, because they just didn't have the room for them, and so they did what they made do, and they didn't care. Like we said, Thomas was very docile. He was a guy that didn't cause a lot of problems or anything like that. And Darryl was a lot more confident, but he didn't cause problems either. He was the type of dude, though, like the adults would take extra attention with him because he would crack a joke. He would crack a joke that was good on an adult level.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I never liked kids. Yeah. I was like, because adults got my sense of humor more, because kids are fucking stupid.
Right.
So I was a sarcastic kid. Sarcasm doesn't play well when you're 10 with the other kids. You know what I mean?
Also, it's like there's a level of things you have to. It's not just dumb. It's like a level of like life things that you have to be aware of to be able to get jokes. Like, you have to understand the mechanics of fucking to get a lot of jokes.
Sometimes,
there has to be. You have to have a knowledge of current events to get a fucking
even just pop
joke.
Culture reference and shit like that. And I grew up around older people. I always had to hang out with old people and stuff like that. So I had like an old man sense of humor. Where, like,
you're coming to school with Frank Sinatra jokes?
Yeah, I was like grumpy and sarcastic and shit, and the other kids just didn't get where I was coming from all the time with that sort of. But adults did, and adults would be like, "You're a weird kid. Like,
you're all right.
Yeah, you're like a little old man. All right." I was called a little old man quite a lot when I was a child.
That's terrific.
So anyway, he was Darryl was like that with people. He was smart. Everybody said he did very well without really trying too hard. He just was good. He was really fast. Darryl's smaller than his brothers too. He grows up to be 5'9", like 170 is like his top weight. Like, he's not a big guy. He's a little fast cornerback.
Okay.
He's a little cover corner.
Got it.
So speed guy, and we'll find out he's really actually a damn good cornerback. He was the best player in the Arcadia Youth League, which is where his father sent him, because I guess they had better leagues over there in terms of equipment and coaching, and it was just a more funded league that was set up better, that you could kind of get in the groove of being in a bigger program like that. And Thomas apparently got cut from a Pop Warner team, and that had a big impact on Darryl, seeing his brother, who was like one of his heroes, cut. He also, when he's a child, meets another guy here, 3 years older than him, and he was the star of Darryl's father's football team, the Pop Warner team that his dad ran. Is a guy named Willie McGowan. This guy, Darryl worshipped him, and it's if kids that are 3 years older than you, that's a thing that you get. You're just like impressed with somebody when you're a kid. And this is kind of the way Willie was, and Willie's going to have an enormous impact on his life later on. This is in L.A.
I wonder if he's related to our friend J-Mac, who his last name is McGowan, and he went to college for football, and I know that his family is ingrained in the L.A. football. I'm going to have to check that out.
He's less ingrained in the football, as we'll find out, with Willie McGowan, and more
J-Mac doesn't want to be related
more ingrained in the prison. More type of thing later on.
So old Willie, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, so they said that Darryl would be the water boy when he was younger for this team before he was old enough to play for it, and he just worshipped this Willie guy. And Darryl would mimic the way he set his jersey up and the way he put, your towel and your wristbands and your tape and shit. Like
you got to personalize it.
It's all personalized, and he would mimic the way Willie did his shit because he thought he was cool.
Got it.
When he was a kid, his mother they were supportive of him playing football before his first game. He was repeating, this is from the book, he was repeating the mantra that his mother told him to repeat, quote, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Mm-hmm. So this is where we're at right now.
Right. He's found religion already.
He's already. Yeah. He was born with it. He was born with a little bit of Jesus dust sprinkled on his head. No
I don't
problem.
know if you know this, but Steph Curry says the same. I mean, it's in the Bible, whatever. But he says the same thing all the time, and he has it. So he got signed by Under Armour does his shoes, and he wanted to put that on the back of the shoe, and the Under Armour told him, fucking absolutely not. So on the back of the shoe, all it says is, "I can do all things."
I can do all things. That's hilarious.
They're like, tell you what, we'll compromise with you. You can shoot and dribble amazingly.
I love when
and we think that you can do anything. So we'll just say this part.
Edit things that make no sense. Right. It's ridiculous. I saw this week that the new Madden game, they cut out Colin Kaepernick's name. They edited it out of a song that plays over the thing.
Out of here.
They edited out curse words and Colin Kaepernick's name.
Colin Kaepernick's name is now synonymous with fuck.
Yeah, and like his girlfriend or something tweeted it out like, excuse me, like what the fuck is that? His name is not a curse word. Jesus Christ.
That's amazing.
So ridiculous, right? How stupid is that?
I didn't hear that.
That's how punitively shitty the NFL is. So, by the way, I don't know where everybody stands because we're not going to get political on this with Anthem kneeling and all that horse shit. I don't care what you fucking think about it. But if I'm a group of people, like Jerry Jones told him, anybody that doesn't stand is going to get fired. Right. If I'm a group of 55 people, I go, well, we can have all the power today.
Right.
Because let's all do it right before a game and see what the fuck he does. You think he'll forfeit it? I doubt it, because he'll owe a shitload of money to television people and sponsors and ticket holders. I think he's going to let us go out on the field.
I bet he caves.
And then I bet he shuts the fuck up and doesn't fucking say anything anymore about what the fuck we do.
And then he went out and did it with all of them. So what the fuck are we doing?
And like I said, I'm not even saying whether I think they should or shouldn't. I'm not even going to get into that shit. It doesn't matter. It's a matter of power of fuck you.
Right.
If there's 55 of you and they need you to go out there and play, I don't think Jerry Jones is going to go, they all quit, guys. Let's get the pads on, everybody that works for the club. Come on, equipment guy. They're not going to do that.
Right.
Get out from selling those hot dogs and put a jersey on, pal. We need you a cornerback this week. That's not happening.
Somebody get the intern of advertising that got all the billboards up in here. Put some pads on that motherfucker. Let's see how well he kicks field goals.
And then after they sue the shit out of him, and then the union sues the fuck out of him for suspending 55 players in a non-sanctioned by the league fucking action, then Jerry Jones will shut his old fucking ass up. I hate that motherfucker as much as I hate Tom Brady. And it has nothing to do with politics. I hate the fucking Cowboys. And I can't stand him. I don't. And I get that if you're a Cowboys fan, you love him, just like if you're a Yankees fan, it's the same thing with George Steinbrenner. Everybody will hate him.
Denver and John Elway.
I get it. Yeah, John Elway's, but he had like actual talents. He could actually play the game. These people can't do anything.
Pat Bowlen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, we hate Tom Brady,
but
so
Pat
never
Bowen's
mind.
Not near as much of a face as Jerry Jones is. He inserts himself.
He inserts himself as the fucking face of everything.
And that's why people hate him. It's
You're just the loudest.
Right.
Shut up, Al Davis Light. Eat dicks.
That's what
you know what I mean? He's Al Davis, but like conservative Al Davis. Like at least Al Davis liked to stick it up people's asses. Jerry Jones doesn't even stick it up anybody's ass. He's just an old fart. So. I
have this definition of like dicks, assholes, and cunts. Like there's a difference. Like a dick is just selfish for the benefit of themselves. An asshole is a dick for the benefit of somebody else. That's why I like to call myself an asshole. Okay. That if I'm a dick, I'm benefiting somebody, whether it's me or a group of people. So like we
want our agent to be an asshole,
right? Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah. And then a cunt is just a difficult asshole for no reason at all, and that's Jerry Jones.
That's because it's an egotistical thing. Yeah. He needs everyone to know that I'm powerful and I'm rich. Right. And it's like, it's hilarious. You are powerful and rich, but there's 55 kids who have nothing, or they have something now, but grew up with shit and don't have billions of dollars, and 55 of them together don't have what you have, can fucking ruin you in 2 seconds if they felt like it.
And he's just chipping off little bits to these people. It's very much like comedy in that you dangling the little fucking carrot for them, and it just happens to be a $55 million fucking carrot for a linebacker that's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's got billions, so it doesn't fucking matter to him.
I'm telling you, I'm saying if I was a Cowboys player, even if I was stoutly in favor of never kneeling and standing and have my hand over my heart and the whole thing, I would kneel just to say fuck you to my boss. It's more about a boss thing. It would be like, fuck you, dude.
It's unions standing together.
Well, not only that, just
it's people standing together.
Let's fucking all take our power check and see, because you can throw shit out and so can we. Right. And that would be, before we make brash statements to the press about what you're going to do as a whole, why don't we all have a conversation first, because we have a part of this too.
Don't tell us what we're going to do. We'll tell you collectively what we'll do.
I'm sure many people won't disagree. Will disagree with that fact, but you know what? Jesus Christ, fuck Jerry Jones. Anyway, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're probably not going to like it. Eat dicks. Anyway, moving on. So
he was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
And now back to the show.
They said that this Willie McGowan, they said that he was he hung out in the neighborhood and all that sort of thing, but he was also a real good kid. Yeah. And so they thought he was going to be okay. Darryl's father said, quote, Willie was a good kid back then. His mother was an upstanding woman. Everything with Willie back then was yes, sir, and no, sir. So they end up, the family, by the way, the Henleys, very frugal. Yeah. They're always saving money to move to a better neighborhood, to be in a better place. And they both work. His mother's a teacher. They both work, and they end up saving up to buy a home in Ontario, which, as we know, is like outside of L.A. Yeah. There's a comedy club out there now. Yeah. And
near, what's that fucking shithole that where the shooting was at?
Yeah, shit, yeah.
Starts with a B.
Something
I don't know.
So
doesn't matter.
This place was known as very nice, though. It had good schools out there. It was a much better place. So they end up sending him to private schools at this point. They're saving up to send these kids.
Great.
Well, they're trying to. They get partial football scholarships to these private schools, and then also they save up everything to.
So they're the brokest family at the private school.
Exactly.
Probably,
yeah. No. They're so broke. They go to this Damien. It's a Catholic school, and they send more people.
This Catholic school named Damien?
Named Damien.
What the fuck?
Weird, right? I don't know what they were thinking there. It's got to have some sort of weird.
How did that happen?
Fucking Catholicism.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
So this place says that they've sent more boys to West Point than any school west of the Mississippi.
Amazing.
Is what they bragged at the time. So this is like a very, very prestigious academically and athletically this school here. They emphasized life after graduation. It was a thing all about where you're going to go to college, which wasn't just let's get you through high school.
Right.
This type of school. So the kids worked so hard at this that the kids worked as groundskeepers over the summer and at nights and shit to be able to stay at the school to help pay for their own tuition. So they were playing and then they go clean shit up afterwards.
Right.
When you leave a bunch of wrappers from the game out there, a hot dog wrapper and all that shit, they're going to come up and clean it up after they get their pads off. These kids.
Well, you're running the suicides up and down the stadiums. Why don't you stop in row G and grab the fucking the Snickers wrapper?
Why don't you do that? Then go do more calisthenics.
Right. And then pull them out of science class to go clean the shitter.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Hey, shitter cleaner, get over it. And then play safety.
Yeah.
So, they said that Darryl was trying to be Thomas's opposite. Thomas was real stoic, and he was trying to not be. They said Darryl was polite. He never got arrested or anything like that, but he's a bit of a rebellious type of kid. At the end of his 8th grade year, he didn't want to go to the Damien school. He wanted to go to a different high school that had more minorities in it, and a lot of the kids that he went to church with went there.
He wanted to be accepted.
He wanted to go where he felt more comfortable.
Be one of the kids.
Be one of the kids like his friends and that sort of thing. His father let him do it. At that point, he said, okay, fine. But he told him, but you can't compete against Thomas. That was the condition.
Is that right?
Yeah, he said, well, that's not going to happen. They said when Chafee played Damien, Darryl would have to sit out. That was the only catch.
How about that?
He said, how's that? If you can go, if you do that.
You're going to have to sit out a game.
But you're going to have to sit out the only game you really want to play, which will be against your brother, and you can't play. So he ended up going to Damien.
He took the deal.
He said, never mind. I'll go to the private school. Yeah, he said, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So Thomas he ends up working as a Lockheed Martin Aircraft there. At that time, she was the mother was a grade school teacher. So that's why they were able to afford, and they were spending every extra dime. They had their mortgage and their food and their bills and the kids' schools, and that's all they did.
Wow.
People didn't go on vacation. They didn't do any of that. And then also, like we said, the kids work as groundskeepers to keep this there.
I want to high five his dad. What a hard-working
his dad's
son of a
fucking
bitch.
His dad and his mom are
amazing people.
Amazing people. They're a great couple. Amazing people. They really, really are.
But I mean, majority, I want to high five the dad for the reason of in the 60s, it wasn't frowned upon to walk the fuck away from a pregnant woman.
He could have just been like, I'm going to California and take off. And they would have been like, okay.
And he went to California and made a better life.
And he was young. These people, they were both 19 years old.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, it's not like they had a maturity. Like, this is all this shit we're talking about. These are people in their 20s.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What a mature decision.
This isn't, they're not like dicking around on Snapchat and fucking off and living at their parents' house till they're 37. These fucking people got out, went to another state, and moved up the economic ladder several times by their own bootstraps.
It's unbelievable.
This is a very and it takes two. It's I guess it's also a testament to their parents probably had a good relationship, because to build this type of thing, you need to have a strong team. No one can do this shit on their own. They had to be like an insanely strong team
and in sync with decisions in terms of
on the
money
same page.
Alone. When you have none,
vision of how you're raising your kids, where you're going to spend your money, what's important to you. They have the same priorities.
Absolutely.
So that's impressive. It really, really is.
And thank Christ that they decided to go into the things that they did, because they are shaping the minds of younger people with her being a teacher and him being a coach. Thank God that they did that, because you need to instill whatever you're doing in the fucking youth of America.
They've dealt with hundreds and thousands of kids, not hundreds of thousands, hundreds and thousands, and from what I understand, not even an accusation of molestation either from any of them.
How is it possible?
I don't even care if they did a good job or not. If you dealt with all those kids and never touched any of them, at this point, I'm like, great job. Thank you. I don't care if none of them went to college. Nobody can read. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
They didn't get their buttholes diddled, and that makes me happy.
This is intense.
So Thomas Henley became a big football star. He set a career rushing record at the high school that stood for more than 20 years.
That's wow.
Which is incredible. Absolutely. His grade point average was really high, too. He was a 4.0 student, president of the student body, captain of the football team, and league champion in the triple jump also in track and field. That's his brother, Thomas. Also named the second best Catholic athlete in all of California that year.
And he's got to follow him through school and try to be as good or better.
That's what I mean. So he's got to have a different personality just to break away from that sort of thing.
That bar is set awfully high.
It really is. It really is. So he's a little younger and he's smaller too. Darryl had a couple of problems. He tried to steal a bike from outside of Kmart when he was 11. Like that's the extent of his criminal background. He has none. They said that he was the only one of the sons to ever come home drunk, but that happened once, and he
never did that
shit again. They put an end to that shit real fucking fast.
The stealing of bikes out front of Kmart, I understand, because remember when they used to do that and put the rack of bicycles, the new bikes out front on like those metal. It's like you walk by them going in the store,
if you're 11,
and you're just like,
you can smell the tires.
That would be easy.
You can smell the new tires, and you're like, oh man, those chains are freshly greased.
The
Look at that
brakes
bad boy.
are all so thick. I'll bet it stops on a dime.
Fucking
yeah.
Let me just take it for a run to the end of the sidewalk. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Oh, let me just take it a little further.
Yeah.
Fuck these people. I'm riding away. That's the thought process.
Yeah.
Well, nobody yelled at me yet. Also, he got in trouble for turning in a paper that he copied from another guy on the football team, which that really pissed off. Apparently, this high school here, they did not take kindly to that sort of shit, to plagiarism. They're very... Yeah.
Your mom's a teacher.
They're very heavy on academics here, and that's the other thing. All of these kids, they feel like all of these kids are above doing that. Any of these kids that are going here, but there was the father, Travers, who ran the place, gave him an F on his report card. Darryl there, so the father, Thomas, pissed off, saying he fucked up on one paper, but he doesn't deserve a fucking F. Now imagine having this guy come into your office.
Oh no!
If you're some priest going, you fucked my boy over. This is like, oh shit. So he gets over there and he yells at this Father Travers and pulls Darryl out and enrolls him in Ontario High School after that.
Entirely out of the school.
Entirely. He says, fuck you, I'm getting my kid out of here. And he ends up doing that, but they end up, the priest at the school, the headmaster there, ended up kind of... They made up with each other because the father didn't want him back and they didn't want Darryl back, and then they kind of wanted Darryl back and the father didn't want him to come back, and they kind of did that, and finally it all worked itself out to where he was playing football by the next football season for Damien and everything was fine. And Damien's in Laverne, California. He's coming from a close-knit family. They're very Christian. He's from the suburbs. That's where he grew up. He went to Catholic school. He has a B average, which is pretty good in high school. They don't, he's not his brother, 4.0, but a B average for a football player is pretty damn decent. And he ends up deciding on UCLA. Apparently USC was what he was interested in at first.
Sure.
But he ends up...
It's the bigger one. It's the better one.
His brother Thomas goes to Stanford because he has a 4.0 grade point average and is president of the student body and shit.
Amazing.
So he goes and ends up graduating from Stanford. So, I mean...
Incredible.
This guy who got on a Greyhound bus from Waco has a damn son that graduated from fucking Stanford, which is pretty incredible. And he should... they should pat each other on the back.
At 19.
It's pretty impressive shit.
Put that kid through everything. Mind you, adding two more boys to this brood and getting that one
together.
that you moved with through Stanford. And then the other one, the second one now is at UCLA.
I know
ridiculous.
We spend a lot of time more than usual on an early life and a family life than we normally do, only because it's
so rare.
It's so important to the rest of the story to make you go, what the fuck is wrong with you stupid fucking asshole. So UCLA he goes to. 1985 is his freshman year at UCLA. He has an interception that year, which isn't bad at all. He also returns a few kicks and a few punts, averages 23.3 yards per return on kick returns. This is a team that has Mike Sherrard, who was a wide receiver in the NFL, I believe with the Niners, and Giants had him for a while later on. Also Gaston Green. Remember Gaston Green? Yeah. He was the running back for them. So a couple of guys you recognize recognized from like late 80s, early 90s NFL. The team itself, UCLA, is pretty good this year. They go 9-2-1.
Not bad.
Not too bad at all. They're number 13. They finish, actually, after the bowl, they finish 7th in the poll. They go all the way to the Rose Bowl.
Wow.
Which is a big deal. Yeah. They play Iowa in the Rose Bowl, and they were just happy to get out of the fucking freezing cold cornfield, so they didn't play as hard as they could have, and UCLA beats them 45-28.
Just happy to be in Pasadena.
You know it. They were just like, there's a lot of girls around here, and it don't look like Iowa.
What the hell is that yellow thing in the sky?
Oh, shit. What's the score? We've been playing this all time?
Oh, shit.
Oh, damn.
Did he
at
say,
the beach.
Did he say 2-minute warning?
Fuck.
Is that what he just
Damn.
said?
Well, we should start playing then, huh? Shit. All right. Well, they already got 45, so let's just next year.
I thought that coin flip was who gets to get in the ocean first.
Damn. That's what we've been doing all week. So I just figured that's what it was. That's shit. They said coin flip. I said, I'm in. I put my board shorts on. I was like, let's do this.
I like titties.
Woo. So this is under Coach Terry Donahue that season. 1986 season, he plays in all 12 games. He has 4 interceptions, which is great for 12 games.
1 in 3 games.
That's not bad.
Fantastic.
Every third game he gets a pick, 73 yards in returns on those. He has he has about 18 punt returns that year. He returns 22 kicks.
Yeah.
So he's a big part of the game, big part of the team. He's a starting quarterback that's getting interceptions, and he is like a primary kick punt returner. So this is a lot of this team goes through him. He's blazing fast too. Really? Absolutely blazing speed he has. He's really impressive. But you have to be a cover corner at 5'9". Right. You better be able to stick a guy.
If you are slow, you will not play.
No,
that's
you're not
all it is.
play
at
at
that
all.
height, you better be fast as fuck.
Yeah, if you're going to be a little down a step, you better be 6'3", where you're tipping balls away and shit. November 8th, 86 is the homecoming game for UCLA, where they played Stanford that year, and his brother Thomas was there.
This is crazy.
He gets to play against his brother Thomas. Stanford versus UCLA. It's pretty cool. He was a senior at Stanford he just started playing receiver because he was a running back before that, and they ended up making him be a receiver. And Darryl was a great cornerback. That day, Darryl returns a 50-yard fumble for a touchdown.
Amazing.
He said, quote, "If Carl Lewis had come out of the stands, he wouldn't have caught me." So I like that.
All right.
He was like, I don't give a shit.
He's
I was running.
about how fast he is.
He was plus he was like, I was running for my life. I was getting that touchdown that day. That year, same coach, Terry Donahue. They go 8-3-1. They go to the Freedom Bowl, which is not as good as the Rose Bowl.
Where is that? Is that Philly?
You know what? It was hard to find out because it's not a bowl that happens anymore. I think it moved. Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't even. Okay.
I think it's something different now. This was in 1986, so they have 46 bowls now, and they've all.
And the Freedom Bowl, that doesn't sound very political or corporate.
Sponsor. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a sponsor.
Be anything like it's going to be the Jeep Liberty Bowl.
That's Jeep Liberty Freedom Bowl. That's what it's going to be. Exactly, no doubt. / Weed Whacker Bowl. Right. Everything's got a Weed Whacker, a Roto. Right. A lot of lawn care products. Everyone watching bowls is just concerned about their lawn, even though it's January and they have no interest in their lawn. So they face BYU that year. So they beat these Mormon fucks 31-10. 86.
So a bunch of hard black kids from UCLA, from fucking LA, are going to play BYU.
86 was the year after Steve Young left too. Okay. So that was, at least before that, they had Steve Young. Then before that, BYU had Jim McMahon.
Oh, that's great.
And they don't have either of those guys here, and they're
gutted, and they have just a bunch of lame white guys that are supposed to try to match up with these.
We can do it, guys. No, you can't. You're going to lose 31-10. And that 10 was probably in garbage time. Prevent defense, just 10-yard chunks at a time, dumping them underneath. So 1987, the New Orleans Saints draft his brother Thomas.
Great.
So that's terrific there. 1987 season, things changed for UCLA big time because Troy Aikman transfers to UCLA.
Did he go there? I don't think I knew that.
He started out at Oklahoma or Oklahoma State, one of the Oklahoma schools, and they weren't it wasn't a passing type of offense. It was a running offense.
So he wanted to showcase his talent.
Wanted to go to a pro-style offense where he could throw and be drafted number 1 overall, which is what ends up happening.
Weird.
So he was smart.
Good move, Troy.
Good move, Troy. Plus, where would you rather live?
Right.
Norman, Oklahoma, or Los Angeles? I rest my case. So, especially if you're a blonde kid with a big gun of an arm who's on the cover of magazines, I'm going to L.A.
Ripped chest and fucking abs.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. See ya. So that year, Thomas in 87, he plays in all 12 games. He has 1 interception that year. And interceptions are one of those things where it's kind of circumstantial. Because if you're a shutdown corner, they don't throw at you a lot.
Right.
And that's the bottom line, especially in college. If you're the shutdown corner, they're just going to throw away from you all game.
They're going to number 2 all night.
That's it. Right. So any interceptions you do get are even more impressive because your options are limited, and they're even more careful when they throw over to you. There's no surprises.
That is the good point, because even if somebody has a lot of interceptions and they're not necessarily staying on one guy the whole game, it doesn't really rely on him either. It doesn't necessarily speak to his talents, because what if that quarterback's just a shitty arm?
And that's the other thing, too. If you see a safety with a lot of interceptions, you notice a lot of them don't have consistently every year a lot of interceptions because they're playing center field. They get there's a tipped ball. They come up and grab it. Or a quarterback, there's a cross signal. Quarterback throws an errant throw over the middle, and you're the only one standing there.
Also,
that happens.
That line on both sides, they're fucking huge dudes. And if their arms are up in the air and you don't see the safety and you just throw over the middle,
it happens.
That guy's got an easy ball.
Exactly. That's why these quarterbacks have to know where everybody is and all that. That's a crazy job.
The vision of a quarterback is intense.
It's wild.
You got to have 20/20.
You would have to, I would think, and peripheral too. Insane peripheral vision for giant guys coming to tackle you.
I've seen some of them lose contact lenses, which makes me go, don't even have that quarterback. Fuck that guy. If he's got glass in his eye to do this, get a different
I want
dude.
him to be like a pilot. That's have your eyes be naturally good. He also returns a bunch of kicks here. He returns 1 punt for a touchdown also. So he has a punt return touchdown in 87, and they don't have him return as many kickoffs that year. He only returns 1 kickoff. So he's mainly the punt guy. And I think they probably got a younger guy, some newer guy that's coming in, because kickoff returning is dangerous as shit. So they're like, let's get him let him get trampled.
There weren't any, the rules
you
weren't
just murder
in
people.
Now,
No, you could have knives and pipes and shit on the field back then. It was fine. So they finished 10-2 as a team with Troy Aikman at the helm, 9th in the AP poll overall. They go to the Aloha Bowl, so going to Hawaii. I don't give a shit if it's a good bowl or not. It's a free vacation. They play Florida that year, the Gators, and win 20-16 over them. So now he's got every year they've won the bowl game.
And
so
it
that's
sounds
good.
like
3 bowl games in a row.
Not just the wins, and it's the things he's doing on the field.
He's doing great,
making electric plays.
Absolutely,
punt returns are amazing to watch.
Well, speaking
of a touchdown,
it's the most exciting play when you get a punt return for a touchdown, because everyone's running one direction and one guy's zipping through them. That's exciting. 88th season, he plays all 12 games again. Has 1 interception. Again, punt returns though this year. He returns 23 punts for an average of 12.3 per return. But he has 2 touchdowns.
Amazing.
2 punt return touchdowns. That leads the entire NCAA.
Really?
NCAA. It's probably tied, I'm sure, by a bunch of guys with 2. But that he's tied for the lead, at least in the punt return category. And he's a consensus All-America that year. That's amazing. They put a team together. If you don't know anything about football, you put a team together, fill in all the positions, and it's one player at each position, the best in the country, and that's your All-America.
He's the cornerback.
And he's one of the 2. Let's find out who else was on this team. It was Steve Walsh and Troy Aikman were the quarterbacks, both NFL guys. Running backs were Barry Sanders.
What the fuck?
Anthony Thompson and Tim Worley, which are also all NFL running backs. Wide receiver Jason Phillips, Hart Lee Dykes, which is one of my favorite names in the world.
Don't think I've ever heard that.
Oh yeah, we've brought it up on this show before, and you cackled like a bastard.
Because I'm dying right now
Hart Lee
inside.
Dykes.
How do you get that name? How do you do that as a parent? Just fucking ruin that guy forever.
We're gonna name him Hart Lee Dykes. Yeah, that's the one. Tony Mandrich.
Most lesbian name on earth.
It fucking is. It really is. Especially for a dude. Tony Mandrich, Anthony Phillips, Mike Utley, the neck broken guy there. Derek Thomas on defense, Broderick Thomas, also other
this is unbelievable.
NFL players. The other cornerback, because there's 2 cornerbacks on the All-American team, Darryl Henley, Deion Sanders.
Wow.
So that tells you the level he's at as far as that goes. Donnell Wolford, another longtime NFL star, was one of the safeties. So this is a no shit. All these guys are NFL stars in the future, or at least players.
At the minimum, right now, like as father, you look at your one boy who's a bookworm in all intents and purposes, and then a great athlete. But this one now, All-American with those. I mean, he doesn't have the forethought to see that there's so many.
No.
At minimum, a Hall of Famer in there.
There's a lot of Hall of Famers.
There's 3.
A bunch in there.
There's 4.
Yeah,
there's a bunch. So the point is, like, how do you get in? How do you just not be a smug asshole every day, knowing that this is what you've done?
Yeah, I didn't fuck up. Well, maybe because he said, "Let's see what they do their whole lives."
Maybe he does have forethought.
His smug dick would have got knocked right in the dirt on that. Later on.
I would be intensely smug at this point in my life.
I would
just
be.
I'm a great dad.
Dude, have you seen my fucking kids? Have you seen how good they... Stanford. Did I tell you? Oh, no. And we didn't have to pay for that shit. Right. They paid for him to come there. That's how fucking good my kids are.
My kids are going to a school whose mascot is a fucking tree.
Yeah.
They're so proud of their school, they don't give a fuck what the mascot is.
And the other one's going to a school that's so fucking good, it's 90% Asian. So what does that fucking tell you? Boom. Academics, motherfucker, which back then I'm sure wasn't 90% Asian, but now it's like 97% Asian.
Yeah.
Pretty Asian.
They're feeding Apple a lot of people.
Yeah, they are. That's a good point. So their record here was 10-2 that year at UCLA, and they are 6th in the final AP poll. So they're number 6 in the nation. They go to the Cotton Bowl, which was still a big bowl then. I think it is now too.
Yeah.
Cotton Bowl, and they win 17-3 versus Arkansas.
How about that?
So he won all 4 bowl games while he was there.
It's incredible.
So his life has been nothing but success.
Yeah.
He's seen his parents move up the chain of just the economic scale of we moved from this neighborhood to this neighborhood. My dad got a promotion. He got a new job at a better place. My mom got a job at a nicer school.
Yeah.
I'm going to a better school, and then I go to a college, and we win all the time, and I'm like all-American. Life has been just...
It's an escalator of life. They're not even on the fucking staircase.
It's a slowly but consistently moving upward escalator, and he's just reaped all the benefits of it and had a fantastic life so far.
It's amazing.
Just based on the fact that he listened to his parents and is pretty goddamn naturally fast.
Right.
So not bad at all. A good life. His final stats in college are on defense, 7 interceptions, 131 interception return yards for 18.7 per return. Punt returns, 66 punt returns for 654 yards and 3 touchdowns, and 29 kick returns for 651 yards, 22.4 average. So not bad. He's a sought after guy, and he's an All-American. Everyone's aware of him. He played for a major power. Things are going well. Things are going so well that on April 23rd, 1989, the NFL draft takes place.
Yes.
And we talked about this a few episodes ago with Andre Rison because he's drafted in the same year. So we'll hit on a couple different points that we don't talk about the same shit over and over. But this is at the New York Marriott Marquis. Troy Aikman, number 1 overall. Right. Like we said last time, Tony Mandrich, Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, Deion Sanders is the top 5.
Absurd.
So this is 4 out of the top 5 guys are Hall of Famers. Just Hall of Famers.
Bananas.
Insane. Steve Atwater, another amazing player, number 20 overall.
Also a Hall of Famer.
Of Famer. Andre Rison was number 22.
Yeah.
Hart Lee Dykes, number 16. That's where it came up last time.
Yeah.
Hart Lee Dykes. Steve Wisniewski, the offensive lineman. All of these guys here. The Rams select Darryl Henley in the second round.
All right.
Pick 53 overall. Los Angeles Rams, so hometown team.
That's crazy.
Grows up in L.A.
College
Everything
in
goes
LA.
well. Escalator going up. College in L.A. And now he's going to play pro ball in his home city. Well,
amazing.
I mean, this guy, he might... Is he Jesus?
It doesn't
he's
happen.
the most blessed fucking guy in the world. Not that I guess Jesus had it hard.
He kind of struggled
if we're taking it at face value.
Really, the end of it.
The end of it, real tough. The beginning,
struggle.
too. It was kind of a tough life he had, and it wasn't easy.
Sandals every day.
Fuck, man. Again, it's like living in Haight-Ashbury. It's terrible. Fucking terrible.
Wonder if he did
showers. Well, at least he had LSD. So
a lot
good
of
for
feet
Jesus.
washing.
That's true. And you know what? Like I said, Jesus had LSD, so everything was fine. Good for him. Because as we all know, Jesus invented LSD and used it on himself. So the funny thing is they got him. They drafted Darryl right after him. They could have got Mark Stepnoski, who's turned out to be a Pro Bowl offensive lineman. Round 3, they could also got Don Beebe, the longtime Bills receiver.
Double helmet.
Yeah, so there you go.
Double helmet, double
that's Kelso. Mark Kelso
you're right.
had the double helmet. Beebe was the guy who bounced on his head and should have had a double helmet.
Beebe didn't. Oh, it was Kelso.
It was Kelso, defensive back. Beebe was the receiver. No, Beebe was the receiver.
Oh, he was the receiver.
He bounced on on his head that time where his neck looked like a spring and he popped up and somehow just started walking around again? Like, that was crazy. I've never seen another human being do that before. That was fucking nuts. Also, round 5, you could have had Dave Meggett.
Is that right?
Yeah, the Crime and Sports alumni. And if you haven't listened to that episode, he's a monster. Listen to that.
Terrible human being.
So he had a 2.8 grade point average at UCLA. He's doing very well. He signs a 4-year, $1.2 million contract with the Rams.
Absurd.
To play in his hometown. What the fuck, man?
How does life get better than that?
It doesn't get a whole lot better than that, but we're still not even at grace yet.
Right.
We're still not at grace. That's how... What a great life he has.
The disgusting and disturbing part is that this show is called Crime and Sports, so this has to end at some point.
It's going to end
bad.
And that
is fucking depressing.
It ends so bad.
There's no reason for this.
It ends. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Like, the one thing he does at first is like, that was stupid. You're an idiot, but fuck it.
Right.
Whatever. Like, you took a chance and you're a moron. Yeah. The second thing, you just want to you hope his dad came to the jail and beat the shit out of him.
I already wanted that to happen because I know that this is gonna happen.
I want him
fucking depressing.
I want him to get straight old black man on his ass and start calling him fucking names and just beating him and whooping him and telling him that, he's gonna go pick a switch. I want him to turn into 1965 Black Dad.
Call him a no good motherfucker.
You no good son of a bitch. You're making your mama all upset and beating his ass. That's what I want.
No good is a phrase that came out of Dad's mouth.
Oh,
for
definitely.
Sure.
No good bastard.
No good motherfucker.
Because he's as good as it gets. So 89 season LA Rams. This is the Jim Everett Rams. It's not pretty. Greg Bell, Robert Del Pino, they were Cleveland Gary.
Wow.
This era. Also, your boy, not only Henry Ellard, but Flipper Anderson right here. Not on the definitely not the Dolphins playing for it.
I have a Christmas ornament of that motherfucker.
I know you. That's amazing. I love it. That's so great. Now, Darryl has a good year. He plays in 15 games. They don't start him any because he's a rookie, but he plays in 15 games. He has an interception, which is great.
Yeah.
He has a forced fumble. He has a fumble recovery, which is fantastic. 21 tackles. That's a good rookie year for a kid. And also they have him returning punts. He returns 28 punts for 266 yards too.
Fully useful.
So they're using him. Yeah. They're using him. He's a speedy cornerback, and that's what they do with the young corners. They make him return kicks and punts and shit. Their record too, the Rams that year was 11-5. They had a really good season. This was the late 80s. The Rams were pretty good. They were getting strong. I remember they beat the Giants one year in the playoffs on a fucking terrible pass interference call on. Oh, never mind.
Was Dickerson the running back at this point?
No Dickerson at this point. They did not have Dickerson. He was still, I believe, on the Colts at that point. So, this was after they got rid of Dickerson to go to the Colts. What am I talking about?
That makes sense.
The other way around.
That's
the Rams drafted Dickerson in '83. They had already gotten rid of Dickerson.
Got it.
So that's where they are. So they're 11-5. John Robinson is the coach, the old USC coach there. They end up going to the wild card game, which they beat Philadelphia 21-7.
Wow.
And then this was the year they beat the Giants 19-13 in the divisional round on a horse shit pass interference call. Absolute horse shit. Terrible fucking interference call. I want to say it was on Terry Kennard, but I'm not sure.
How personal it is.
Fuck, it made me mad.
Isn't it the best?
Oh, it was fucking fourth down. Everett throws this terrible ball over the middle. It just goes, and they call pass interference on it. You're like, no, that's just fourth down. Fuck you. I was so mad as a child. I was not even 10 yet when this happened, and I was so mad.
So they're going to the NFC Championship game.
They absolutely are against the Niners, and we all know what happened. The Niners trouncing Denver 55-10 in the Super Bowl. They lose.
More personal.
They lose 30-3 to the Niners in the championship game. So it wasn't pretty.
How about that? The Niners they did that in the championship game and then went to the Super Bowl and did basically a carbon copy thing.
They were just on a roll.
Nobody can beat them.
You couldn't stop them. They were nasty back then. It's funny too. Norv Turner was their wide receivers coach then, who was head coach and offensive coordinator everywhere for the last 30 years. So that year, 1990 now, he plays in 9 games. He starts 6 of them, has an interception also, which is not too shabby. Also returns 19 punts, returns some kicks also. So they're getting a lot of use out of him.
Sure.
And they're going to have to I bet they wish they could get more use because this is when the Rams start to really suck.
Yeah.
This is when it gets bad. They go 5-11 that year, which is ugly. 5-11. It's the same team too. They don't do anything to really improve or do anything. They just suck and go 5-11.
That's terrible. They went 11-5,
and then 5-11.
Came back with the same team and flip-flopped it. How do you do that?
Same coach, same team, same everything. This is when they started to get rid of key cogs of the team too. And Darryl will talk about later on how by the time like 93, 94 came around, there's like nobody left of the team that they were getting rid of people because they sucked. Yeah. And this is when the Rams also were being really cheap, and they ended up moving to St. Louis a few years later. So this is the end of the LA Rams. This is the last dying death rattles of the LA Rams here, which it's weird too. I like that they're back there. I never liked the Rams, but they shouldn't have been in St. Louis.
There was no reason for that.
No, put them back in LA where they belong and get them back to that lighter blue and yellow.
If St. Louis wants a fucking team, get an owner to fucking build a team and put one there.
Put a goddamn team in there, and don't name it the Cardinals again.
Right. I'm sure the NFL would be thrilled with that. Just having another team for more revenue and more money, sure. But if you put one there, you got to put one somewhere else for the AFC.
Even it out and all that shit.
Make it even, and we'll figure it out.
Something.
The networks would love to have more football on TV.
Yeah, St. Louis is a good sports city, too.
It is. It's just a damn good city.
Yeah, they looked at L.A. like, how do we not have a team in this giant fucking market? What's up with that?
Now they have too many.
Now they have one that's whatever, and then one that people are like, did they come here or not? With the Chargers.
We really got them?
Is that a
really
team?
A thing?
Don't they play in like a soccer stadium or some shit? They don't even have a real stadium? Maybe that's why nobody goes.
Playing in a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah, I think so. They lay some indoor-outdoor carpeting down, and they go to it.
Should have put that shit in St. Louis. St. Louis, they're salivating. They want a fucking team.
Yeah.
It's just nobody shows up when they lose.
That's true. That's true, and no one wants to live there again. So, sorry, St. Louis.
Everyone out there should listen to Small Town Murder. You really should, mainly because you never know who's next door. And that's the point of this show, really. You never know who is next door. You never know what's going to happen on Small Town Murder. That's what makes it so wonderful. The only thing you do know is that people are going to die, and we're probably going to make jokes about it. That's it. That's all we can promise you. We dig into these towns. We see what makes them tick, from local legends to scandals they may have had. And, of course, the biggest scandals of all, horrible murders that take place there. And we put what I feel is a completely appropriate comedic spin on the whole thing. And you know you need a laugh right now. So get in there, listen to Small Town Murder. Follow Small Town Murder on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Small Town Murder early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel. Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
And now back to the show.
So, a 1991 season, he starts 15 out of 16 games that year. So now it's a different story. Now he's a starter. He has 3 picks that year too, which is fantastic. No one is shaking a stick at 3 picks. Yeah. Also a fumble recovery too. So he's got his hands in a lot of things here. Also, quite a few touchdown or punt returns. He returns 15 punts also, and a few kicks on the side as well, but not many. Yeah. The Rams, though, continue to just tumble down the path of irrelevancy as they go 3-13 that year. Ouch. I think maybe it's time to shit can Robinson. What do you think, everybody?
At least a few people.
They went 11-5, 5-11. 3-13.
Ouch.
Someone's got to go at that point.
When the losses are in double digits and then they go higher, that's not good.
Let's just say it's enough is enough. Like, we'll give you, you were 11-5 and they were good before that. We'll give you a year after you're 5-11. Things happen. Have some injuries or that. 3-13 though, I don't fucking think so.
We got shirts to sell.
Thanks for the high draft pick, but fuck you. Yeah, take a hike. So 1992 season, he starts 15 of 16 games again. This year he has 4 interceptions.
He's doing his part.
He's doing his part. He's always improving. Darryl, always improving. Always get up that steady escalator, like we said, the steady escalator of failure. He's getting there to this very top, which will probably be the name of this episode.
More like a roller coaster where the cogs are clicking, going up.
It's a smooth ride, though, I feel. There's no clicking. It's an escalator ride, and then it's going to turn into a roller coaster. Once you get to the top, you don't step off. You just go down the other side and
you're
fall.
Not in a seat buckled in. It's
just tumbling. Just through the air. No parachute, nothing.
Oh, boy.
You can get fucked. So 4 picks, like we said. By that point, he doesn't have, they don't have him returning kicks and punts that year for some reason, but he's not. Either way, it doesn't matter. Okay. So 4 picks, 41 return yards on those. The team, they did fire John Robinson, and they bring in Chuck Knox, who's the old Seahawks coach from the 80s there with all those Dave Craig and all those guys, Steve Largent teams.
Coach name.
Chuck Knox.
There's no more fucking tough hard nails name than that.
Chuck Knoll was pretty good,
That's
too.
That's a good one, too.
But Chuck Knox. And Knox is a good name.
And Nolan, too. That's a good one, too.
Yeah, that is a good name.
I like that one.
Chuck is a great football coach name.
Yes.
Your name, everybody should just go by Chuck. Like, instead of calling him Coach, you should call him Chuck. Like, go, what's up, Coach? What's up, Chuck? Like, I feel like that should all be named Chuck.
This is Chuck Bill Jesus Bill Belichick.
Yeah,
it's Chuck Belichick.
Chuck Belichick instead of saying Coach
it's so
Belichick.
Hard to say,
Chuck Belichick
because you want to say Coach.
Yeah, but nope, Chuck. So Chuck Knox improves the team, not by much. They go 6-10, so not that great of a thing there. But Darryl, like we said, he's going up the escalator. Right now, he has reached the top floor of this escalator. And you know what that means, Jimmy? Grace. This is grace. It just stopped, and he's like, ooh, we're cresting. What's going to happen now? And oh, fuck, does it change.
Okay.
January 31st is the Super Bowl 27. This obviously Darryl's not involved in this. The Rams are 6-10. He plays for a shit team.
Right.
As great of a name as that Chuck Knox is, he's still not going to get them there. This is in Pasadena. It's at the Rose Bowl. This is the Super Bowl that Dallas crushed Buffalo 52-17. Okay. Really wasn't a very good game. What funny things? I always like giving details of Super Bowls because they're pretty fucking amusing. National anthem sung by Garth Brooks.
Really?
Yep. Halftime show was Michael Jackson. That was the giant. The giant Michael Jackson halftime show that was such a huge deal.
Yep.
That was more watched than the fucking game.
Right.
And the coin toss that year was done by none other than fucking O.J. Simpson.
Get the fuck
Swear to
out
God,
of here.
O.J. Hey, everybody, let's flip that coin. Yeah, let's do this. Year and a half, I'll be killing my wife. All right.
Heads I kill or tails I kill both.
Yeah, both of them. Oh, tails. Okay. So that's some interesting times here. Also, the 30-second commercial cost $850,000.
Really?
On that, yeah, and
that's fairly affordable
compared to now. Yeah, now it's like $3 million. I want to say, or some crazy shit like that. Now, Darryl meets a lady. At this point, over the course of this weekend, the Rams, because the NFL has all sorts of people they send, teams send representatives, because there's just it's a circus of media and fan.
It's promotion of the NFL every turn you go.
Exactly.
Right.
So he meets a young lady named Tracy Donahoe. Okay, now she says, quote, I met Darryl on Super Bowl Sunday, January of '93, and obviously he was a football player. He played for the Rams. She was a LA Rams cheerleader.
Okay.
That's what she did.
You're not allowed to do that anymore.
No, that's not. You weren't then either.
Okay.
She said they were in a tent out front of the place. They had tents set up. Different teams had all their tents out there.
Yeah.
And she said, quote, there were about 7 cheerleaders and about 5 football players. We were scheduled to sign autographs for about 4 hours. The first hour, the cheerleaders sat and talked and ate lunch. The players were at the table next to us. I noticed Darryl because he kept looking over at our table and because he was wearing Karl Kani menswear, which is fucking hilarious. That there's a lot of Karl Kani talk here, which is just hilarious. And if you're under the age of like 36, you have no idea what we're talking about.
Right.
But in the early 90s, people wore pants that were just enormous and orange and shit. And that was Karl Kani.
All of his K-A-N-I printed hugely across the fucking pocket.
Man, all of his clothes were giant and brightly colored and aggressive.
It was before TJ Maxx sold all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Carl Kanai,
shit was expensive and popular.
Right.
Yeah.
If you saw something brightly colored, it was probably him.
That was
and Tommy Hilfiger.
So she said, quote, some of my girlfriends and I had wanted to find out where to get it for a long time. What do they care about where to get Carl Kanai shit?
Yeah.
These are white cheerleaders. What the fuck do you want with Carl Kanai clothes? And first of all, they have nothing that'll fit you if you're a cheerleader.
You're gonna look dumb in it.
If you weigh 300 pounds, that shit's 18 sizes too big for you. They don't make that. So she said, so she wanted to talk to him because he had Carl Kanai shit on. She was 19 years old. This girl, 19. She's from Orange County. Mm-hmm. She's a suburban kid, cheerleader. Pretty, they said, blonde.
Of course, she's a cheerleader.
She's a blonde, pretty LA Rams, Orange County cheerleader here.
It is fascinating that they rarely have unattractive women doing those dances. That's very interesting.
It's usually, it's odd that is. Yeah. I think it's coincidental. I don't think they're casting them based on looks. I really don't. I think it's all coincidental, and that's just the way it is.
Who can do the Macarena best? That's definitely who it is.
It's her. It's definitely
her.
It's
always the pretty girls. They're really good at that.
It's weird. Super weird. So he sees her. Darryl says that he thinks he recognized her from somewhere. Mm-hmm. And Steve Israel was another cornerback who was playing with the Rams at that time. And Steve Israel said, quote, she was with me that night at Todd's, referring to a party that they had at the end of the season a month before. And Darryl was there with his girlfriend, Alyssa, who, by the way, is also a Rams cheerleader.
Of course.
Obviously. And apparently a bunch of the other players and cheerleaders and everybody were there that night. And now everybody, I guess, was going back and forth and looking at each other and making eyes, as young, attractive people tend to do. Right. And I guess the Steve Israel told him that her name's Tracy, if you want to get to know her, basically. Yeah. Now, but his girlfriend, like we said, is Alyssa, and she is the leader of of Tracy's particular cheerleading line. I guess they have different. God. It's a squad within a squad, and the leaders of the line. And I guess Alyssa is the leader of Tracy's line. So this is
She's the bottom bitch of them all.
This is really too entangled. I think in the cheerleading squad here, you can only date one cheerleader at a time. Can we make that rule? I know they have a rule you're not supposed to date any
of them,
but if you're going to date any, one at a time here. So apparently they were saying it's very gossipy. The cheerleader scene is.
I'm sure it is,
and it's the football players too. There's a bunch of people that see each other every day and do a lot of standing around.
You're going to talk.
You're going to fucking gripe and talk and all that sort of thing. He said that. He was worried about that from the team standpoint here. It's an NFL rule, not even a.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they don't really enforce it. There's no penalty like you dated a cheerleader. That's a 1-game suspension. But there's a rule of don't associate with cheerleaders, and cheerleaders don't associate with players, which I think is the stupidest rule ever. I get that it's a distraction. Right. But I don't know, who do you expect them to fuck,
Right, but who's to say that quarterback and that cheerleader aren't fucking perfect for each other?
And that's the other thing. Who else? What better do you want to represent your team than the quarterback and the cheerleader? Right. I don't know. If you're an NFL team, that seems like a wholesome image you'd want to put forward of these nice, good-looking fucking people.
How about the Boise State boy who fucking proposed to the cheerleader? That's beautiful.
Yeah, that was nice.
Happen?
That was nice. Yeah. So Darryl now is kind of hooked up with. He likes this Tracy. And he's hooked up with Alyssa. Also, Tracy told him right away that her mother is not okay with interracial relationships and does not want her mom to know.
Tracy's mom is racist.
Very racist. Super racist. These are rich Orange County racists.
I love them. This is great.
Nothing of her dating some black guy who plays for the fucking Rams.
This
that is the last.
For an awesome story.
This makes it so much better for me, too. I think this is fucking hilarious. So.
Here's a wholesome young man who was raised fantastically with his family.
Better background than any white guy that she could have came up with.
And the reason mom doesn't want him, he's black.
From a good family, upstanding,
the best.
Went to a great prep school, went to a great college.
Unbelievable.
Has a terrific job where he makes more money than anybody else that lives on their block, probably, and yet not okay.
No,
that's racism. When everything else is perfect.
Unbelievable.
And that's still, no, I don't think so. That's racist.
He's
that's
a prime
amazing.
Candidate for your daughter.
On paper?
So eligible.
Look at his stats. He went to that school. I hear that's a good school. UCLA. Very nice. Okay, graduated. Excellent. Oh, he makes how much per year? Wonderful. That's great. Endorsements too. Oh, add a little extra.
Jamal?
Owns a house. Owns a home. Darryl? Darryl, huh? 2 R's in that, Darryl? That's not normal, is it?
Let's have a chat with this guy.
Let's talk to Darryl, shall we?
How much cocoa butter's in his apartment?
That's that's RRELL, correct? No, there's a Y in there. Fuck. Damn it. Shit, like strawberry? Oh, fuck. We're in trouble. Yeah. Check his medicine cabinet for cocoa butter. So he says he didn't give a shit about that either way. He said, quote, Tracy was real cool and the first white girl I had ever dated. I thought she was as close to being hip as any black woman I'd ever dated. We did not have a wild romance, but instead it was a friendly relationship that included sex sometimes. Not regularly, though. It was weird. They didn't have like a rip-roaring, passionate, lustful attraction. No, they did take it slow, and she was wanting to take it slow. And he has so many. He is dabbling in so many ladies because he starts to just dabble in a lot of women at this point. There's a point in a little while where he moves and he has a separate phone line just for the ladies.
Oh, man.
Because he can't take that clogging up his normal fucking course of business. That's what I mean. He's got a pussy pipeline. Phone. He's got a pussy pipeline phone. He's got a pussy red phone.
That's amazing.
That it lights up.
It's the lips that he got from Sports Illustrated.
From the Sports Illustrated, yeah. It sends up the pussy signal into the air. And then that's that.
This is crazy.
So so for him it was like, well, if she's not going to give it up, it's not like that's the only girl he's pressing on. So he's like, well, I'll fuck that other girl tonight, and I'll keep working on her another time. Yeah. You know, so that's how he seems to be.
Or maybe she's just like, she goes to the grocery store. She's around her mom a lot, and she can't be around him very much because listen, my racist mom's nearby.
Listen, I can't do this. You cannot go to Orange County. No, not even anywhere. Don't go to Disneyland. I'm telling you right fucking now. Just don't.
Stay out.
My
mom's there.
Mickey's a spy for her, and fucking she'll take you down.
My mom fucking tours Ball Street to make sure that Ball and Harbor. She's right there all day long.
You're gonna be walking down Main Street, and all of a sudden Daisy Duck's gonna rip her fucking head off, and it's gonna be my mom, and she's gonna come strangle me.
I knew it,
Mom. I have connections. Don't worry. So at this point too, he starts. People around him and people from his life kind of start dragging him down a little bit. There's a guy, his uncle, he's not one of them that really drags him down, but he's got an uncle named Rex, who's his father's younger brother. Rex is only 3 years older than Darryl.
Oh, that's weird.
So, yeah, Rex is very much, so everyone thinks they're brothers when they see, because they look alike and they look like they're the same age. Yeah. So people just think they're brothers.
Rex is his grandparents' oops kid. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, he's kind of unfortunate. Yeah. They call him, quote, good-hearted and well-intentioned, which is like how you explain Forrest Gump to people. You know what I mean? Whenever you hear that's good-hearted means that you have a mental deficiency, I believe, or incapability.
And well-intended?
Well-intentioned, which also means that he tries, but he fucks it up.
He gave it his best.
Yeah.
We don't expect him to do shit, but you know what? He works hard at it.
He's going to give it 110% every time. He's kind of a dumpy guy. They said he's kind of they describe him as pear-shaped. He's a little bit heavy set. He used to be a good high school football player back in the day.
This is elderly fucking creates this.
This is, creates bad things. Yeah. If you're don't have kids when you're 45. And I know if you've been trying and whatever, and some medical thing has come up and now you can do it, good for you.
Right.
But don't just, if you have 4 kids, don't spit another one out at 45. No. You're good. You've contributed. You're fine.
Have that vasectomy at 37.
Yeah, it's enough now.
Just stop it.
That's enough. Matter of fact, once you have like 2 kids, just get a vasectomy.
Yeah.
How's that?
Because if you think you're exhausted at 47
or something,
if you think you're exhausted at 47, have a child that requires extra shit.
Oh, that's great.
Let's see how you get through
and that's
that
how
one.
it always happens too. So good for you. And then you're going to have that kid till you're 80. So enjoy.
You're going to be at high school graduation at 65.
Oh boy, falling asleep and shit during the speeches. God damn, is it over yet? Where are we?
Jesus, that sounds terrible.
So his uncle here is having a bad time of his life right now. He used to work for Lockheed. He worked there for 8 years, and he was married and all this shit. He got laid off from Lockheed, and he's in the middle of a divorce all at the same time. So he kind of just starts sleeping on Darryl's couch or, in Darryl's extra room. No. He's just kind of moving in, and Darryl's helping him, whatever. He's basically trying to help him put his shit back together, as everybody needs when they're going through that, especially if you just lost your job.
Right.
It's one thing to like either have money and then divorce, or to not have money but to have a marriage, but to be losing your marriage and have no money at the same time is fucking horrible.
Thank God you've got
I did that.
An NFL playing nephew who's got a pussy train behind him. You can just I mean, even
I didn't have that.
Right.
I had an air mattress that would slowly deflate. When I woke up, I'd wake up on the floor. It had a slow leak. I'd wake up on the floor. I'd go to bed on an air mattress. I'd wake up on the floor, and I'd be like, my fucking life is horrible. That's when you wake up in the morning and you evaluate your life. It's much worse if you're evaluating it from a deflated air mattress that was inflated when you went to sleep.
And you wonder why it hurts. You wonder why it hurts for you to travel on an airplane.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly. No shit. Yeah. Why am I hurting? I only did that for a year.
Your body's breaking down from the hardwood floor you slept on for 2 hours.
Horrible.
A night.
Yeah, for 2 hours. The other thing. Very rarely even sleeping on. I wasn't even sleeping 8 hours. It was deflating. Holy shit. That thing must have had a fast leak.
So this guy's he's losing his life. It's falling apart fast. But I mean, at some point, I guaranteed Rex sat there and was like, watching Darryl and sitting in this amazing place. This couch is worth more than the house I was living in.
Yeah, this is probably better. He's got ladies coming in and out. He's got a separate pussy bat phone. Right. This is fantastic.
Even not getting any of the shrapnel that's coming off of this fucking pussy bomb.
Doesn't matter.
I'd still deal with this over dealing with that pain in the ass wife I had.
Look
at me. I'm a mess. Can you imagine the wife that married me?
There's pussy grenades. I can at least throw myself at them. Oh, yeah, imagine this. Yeah, look at me. God damn it. I'm well-intentioned and good-hearted. Think about that. You know what that means?
She probably was way worse than him.
Yeah, that's probably. So he's got his uncle living with him. He's hanging out with Tracy Donahoe there. He had a meeting with a guy named Gary. His name, they all call him G. Gary G. West. This is in Atlanta. This is going to be another piece to this puzzle here, because he ends up going to play in a charity basketball game for the Rams. He goes to a surprise birthday party for his dad in California. And as he's leaving California, they tell him, "Hey, our guy dropped out of this charity basketball game that the Rams are doing. Would you mind stepping in? We heard you were in town." And he goes, "Fuck it, why not?" Like, he likes basketball, seems like fun. He likes being in LA. He likes being home. So he does it because he moves to Atlanta around this point, too. Atlanta in 93, and they talk about this in the book, like why he moved there. Atlanta in 93 was like Mecca of black culture. Okay. Like Atlanta was like, even if you
was Outkast came through there.
Even like
UGK.
Remember like the early 90s Falcons had like Dion and MC Hammer was hanging out on the sidelines, and like a lot of movies back that were like black skewed movies were like based in Atlanta at the time. Like Atlanta was really it's got a huge black population, so obviously that's a part of it.
Southern rap was just starting to get like some ground there too,
and that was like if you were like an upscale, if you had money too.
Not that rap is black, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I get you.
Sound like an asshole.
I get you. No, you know what you're saying.
Sound like Tracy's parents at this point.
Yeah. Listen, that Atlanta with the rap music down there,
with all those black guys,
and they're rapping. So yeah, he moved down there, and it was like if you had money down there, there was a lot of like upscale shit that was made for black people. Like
makes sense.
Restaurants and places like that were for upscale fucking black people, and it was just in a different environment. If you're in LA, it's not really like that. You're hanging out with a bunch of old fucking white people if you want to go to an upscale restaurant.
You got money, you're eating with Leonardo DiCaprio or some shit like that.
He's at an event in April 1993, and I'm not sure if this is the basketball game or not. I got a little confused on this whole thing, but in April 1993, he's at an event, and there's a track stadium, and he hears someone calling his name, and he says the voice sounds familiar, so he's looking around in the crowd, and he finds in the crowd is Willie McGowan, the guy that he looked up to so much as a kid and all that. He said he hadn't seen him in about 15 years. He said he ran into him briefly at some sort of UCLA track meet, but he said Darryl said when he approached Willie, Willie said, quote, "I should be where you are." So like it was kind of one of those things. Like he felt kind of weird about the whole interaction, and he hadn't really seen him Since then, it was just a brief thing.
That'll make you really just take stock of fucking who you looked up to. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What happened to you, man?
That's the thing. And he said, too, that he apologized. Willie apologized to him for kind of brushing him off like that. He said that he wasn't in a good place back then. He said that he apologized and he was deeply into sports gambling at the time.
Oh, no.
And just wasn't into it and wasn't in a good place. And he said that if he kept in touch with Darryl, he said that might have been bad for him, and he just didn't want to fuck with him. Basically, he's like, I'm in a bad spot, and it's sports gambling, and you don't need to know about that shit. And I just figured I'd stay away from you, which seems nice. So they discuss his new business, though. Willie has moved away from the gambling and moved more into the realm of drug dealing lately, and that kind of comes up. He said that Willie said that he's done with that now, though. He got into the gambling, and then he was dealing drugs, and now he's into some real estate shit that's like legit, and he's out of that whole thing. He used his money for good. That's what he's telling Darryl. He also tells Darryl, quote, "Did you know I've been to every Rams home game since you got drafted?" So he's telling him, I've been following you, and I've been,
call the cops and run, bro. Yeah. That's a stalker.
This sounds disturbing, but he's his idol. He's his childhood idol. So Darryl's taking this as a compliment, like, oh shit, Willie's interested in me. Meanwhile, Willie's just some drug dude who fucked his life up, and Darryl is a successful person and doesn't realize that this is not the same relationship they had when Darryl was 9.
Right.
It's a different thing here.
And Willie's doing everything in his power to try to get in touch with Darryl to fucking leech onto his train, and he doesn't even understand that.
And Darryl doesn't see it that way. And the fucked up part is, even after everything that's going to happen, Darryl, 15 years later, still doesn't see it that way.
Christ.
He still doesn't think. He never thinks that Willie was trying to get his claws in him right now.
Wow.
He just thinks that he was it just all happened naturally, and that this was Willie never planned to involve him in anything, and which I think is insanely, I don't want to say ignorant, but naive is the better word. Yeah. And ignorant. It's you know what it is? It's fucking stupid.
You know what it is? It's a lack of street smart.
It's a lack of street smart.
That's what it is. That's fucking crazy to not have human interaction enough to know that there are bad people in this world.
Well, and he wants to be.
Yes.
It's 1993, man. He wants to be cool. He wants to be on a kind of a street scene, and he's not that guy.
Right.
He's from the suburbs. His parents made him go to fucking Catholic school, and he went to football practice, and he did groundskeeping, and he came home. He didn't go run the streets. He didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
So he doesn't feel like he's got street cred.
Right.
And he feels like he's a dork compared to these guys.
He's the dude from 8 Mile that Eminem roasts at the end.
That's what I mean.
His parents have a real nice marriage.
Yeah, Clarence. Exactly. Yeah, that's the one. That's the exact thing that's going on here.
That's what he is, but he wants to be the tough guy.
So he takes Willie out and hangs out with him now. Yeah. Now he's kind of put Willie in his circle for a minute, and this is going to make him feel cooler. They go out to a restaurant, and he brings Tracy. Darryl introduces Tracy to Willie.
Yeah.
They start talking. He said they hit it off and got along really well. Darryl said he went to talk on his cell phone a few times, and Tracy and Willie were always having a good conversation while he was gone. They didn't sit there uncomfortably. They seemed comfortable with each other. He said they left the restaurant the first night they hung out, and Tracy drove Darryl to his house in her 1986 Toyota Celica, the book says, that's funny for Darryl. He's probably just like, Jesus Christ.
It's hilarious that they included that in the book, that he had to give what kind of piece of shit you know.
I feel like that's a good scene setting, though.
Yeah.
You're picturing him all decked out in his fancy shit, and he's got jewelry and his Carl Kanai gear, and he's got a Mercedes and all this shit, and she's got an 86 Celica, which were hunks of shit, those mid-80s Celicas.
And he's got to use pliers to open the door, and she's like, no, you're using them wrong. You're using them wrong.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to use vice grips.
Yeah. You're using them wrong. No, you don't get it at all. So they leave the restaurant, which was a TGI Fridays, by the way.
Of course. What, are you serious?
No, that's where they were. They were at Fridays hanging out.
He's a millionaire.
Going to
TGI Fridays and riding there in an 86 Celica.
Yeah, that's some sad shit. Maybe he planned on getting hammered. It was like, you fucking drive. I'm drinking tonight. So they said Willie got in his SUV and took off. Tracy said that they drove, as they were driving away, she asked what Willie did for a living to Darryl. And Darryl said that Willie worked in real estate and traveled, quote, to different states transporting a lot of cash. And she said, okay, and that was that.
What?
She's 20 years old. She doesn't fucking know the difference. She's like, all right, I guess people in real estate bring cash transactions back and forth. That's his job.
In Atlanta, the I-10 runs right the fuck through there. What do you think he's doing?
Cash courier is what's going on here. So, it's so fucking weird. Tracy says about this time in a quote later on, quote, we talked about if we were to get married and how we would raise our kids. I also told him how unhappy I was with my job at Zendejas. She was a waitress at a restaurant because they made very little cheerleading. It was like $40 a game.
She drives an 86 Celica, James.
That's
I know
what I mean.
She's broke.
She's fucking broke. She said this is when he suggested maybe I could work for Willie. He explained to me that I would be paid $300 to $400. I would carry a suitcase filled with a lot of cash. I told him that was a lot of money to do something so easy. He said he could talk to Willie to see if he needed me to work for him. He also said that Willie paid people well, so they wouldn't be tempted to run off with the money
or tell the fucking
police. The cops, because clearly this is not legal. Anytime anyone gives you a bunch of money to hand something to someone else, whatever's in there is not legal. I'm going to assume.
They're giving you that kind of money because you're risking your fucking freedom.
Otherwise, they just hire FedEx.
Right.
That's the thing.
It's a lot cheaper.
Or he'd just do it himself. Here you go, dude. Here's that cash. I owe you. Thanks. And then get back on the plane and drive away, fucking fly away. That'd be the end of it. You wouldn't need the subterfuge would not be necessary.
She's dumb. I don't know that she's dumb.
No, she's naive as fuck.
She just really wants to believe in this relationship and wants him.
And a few extra $100 to just go do something like that. It's not like they said, we're going to give you 2 kilos of Coke and you're going to bring it here.
Right.
They were just like, just a suitcase with cash for a real estate deal.
Just move it for me.
It's basically like, we'll talk about it, but it's kind of, Willie explains it as it's marginally legal. Like it's not real. It's just a tax issue is all that it really is.
Good fuck.
So, so they paid people well so they wouldn't run off. Darryl explained that it was easier for young white people to do this because black people look suspicious at airports, which I was like, okay.
What he says is it's easier for white people to do this because black people get pulled over by the police a lot.
No, if you're going to have anybody do anything illegal, a 20-year-old blonde white girl who's pretty and a Brahms cheerleader, that's the one to do it. She's the least likely to get fucked with other than a 92-year-old woman fucking with an oxygen tank. That'd be the only other person less likely to get fucked with.
And she doesn't even need that oxygen tank. That oxygen tank is just packed with cash. That's
all it is. She just keeps it there and then breathes in the smell of cash over. Makes her feel good. Keeps her sustained. Keeps her alive. So she said, I asked if I was in any danger, and I remember him kind of laughing. He said, no, not at all. How could you be in any danger unless you tell people you have a lot of cash in your bag? Why else would they know? He explained that I would fly out in the morning and back at night. It sounded easy and good to me. Jesus Christ. I don't know about that.
Damn dumb.
It's at this time, too, where he starts to kind of change his personal habits as well. Yeah. He was very studious before in his workouts and maintaining a certain weight and muscle, because he'll get skinny if he doesn't keep his shit up. Like, he'll lose weight. He's a small guy.
High metabolism.
Yeah, and he's a small dude that has to keep, it takes a lot for him to keep weight and muscles on. So he said at this point, he'd stop doing all the extra workouts he would force himself to do. He would run sprints like when no one else was around, extra work, and he wouldn't do any of that anymore. He kind of stopped doing the extra weight room work, all the extras he was doing to make a guy who's physically not as big as the other guys, to make him be able to be a legitimate player.
Sure.
All that shit he stopped doing at this point. So that's kind of rough here, because he's still got speed, but it doesn't matter. But he said he's starting for the Rams. He thought to himself that he didn't really need to work at it as much as he used to, because he's a starter now. Like, he's not trying to break through. It would be like if we were like, we're happy we have some people listening. Let's just skate.
Right.
Let's just do shit shows and not care and fuck it. Yeah. What's the difference?
They'll stick around.
Yeah. No. So you got to get better and better and better. But he said he was believing his own hype, kind of a thing. He said he started hanging out late at night. He said first it was till midnight, then midnight became 1 and became 2. Pretty soon it was 4 a.m. and you'd catch a few hours of sleep and go through 2 hours of practice and then go home and take a nap and shit like that. So just a different lifestyle. Yeah. Before, he'd come home, go to bed, wake up early, do his workouts, get ready, regimented. Yeah. Now he's like out drinking. He comes home, he's fucking off. He says, as a matter of fact, he says in their own words, quote, "And when you go out and you're hanging out at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, every single morning, you're going to attract people of all types. I don't care who you are. I don't care how straightened you are. If you choose to hang out in this type of atmosphere, then people are going to come. They're going to flock to you. And for the most part, you do a good job staying clear of situations. But then there are those that just sneak up on you." Okay. And that's what happens here. That's the big deal here. And he's right. Like we've said, no matter your fault or not, if someone just comes up out of nowhere and pummels you in a bar at 2 in the morning, 50% your fault. Yeah, don't care if you've never set eyes on that person before. You're there at 2 in the morning.
You shouldn't have been there.
You fucking know that everyone there is an asshole at 2 in the morning. So your fault.
It's like driving and getting in an accident. You didn't have a license, you don't have insurance, and it's not your car. You shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have been driving.
Even if somebody made a left turn in front of you, why the fuck were you there?
They made that left turn because you shouldn't have existed on the road. They thought you weren't there.
They didn't see you because they didn't know that you didn't have a license and insurance, and that wasn't your fucking car.
You need to drive.
Right.
So he hears at that point, Willie tells him, quote, "I got something big in the works." And this is how it all started, the whole money thing. Okay. "I got something big in the works, but I can't invest in it. I can't get it started because I can't move my money from place to place as easily as you can," he tells Darryl. Mm-hmm. This is how this whole thing started. Darryl says, laughing, quote, "You trying to launder some money?" And he's just laughing. He's whatever. Willie says, quote, "Nah, it ain't like that. I'm talking about people taking it on a plane, moving it from one spot to another." Darryl asked him if is that legal, and he said, "Well, I ain't exactly paid taxes on it." So he's like, it's sort of that. He said, "But if the right person is carrying it, she won't even get looked at twice." He said, "Who you got in mind?" Darryl did, and Willie grinned, and Darryl said, "That's who I thought." They're talking about Tracy. Yeah. She's the perfect one for this. Yeah. Willie says, quote, "I remember you telling me she's broke and how she's always complaining about how she hates waitressing." So Darryl said, quote, "Did you talk to her about it?" And he said, "I was hoping you would." And that's the conversation we talked about that Tracy discussed. She said, quote, "You're sure we're talking about money now?" is what Darryl said. Like, you're not transporting fucking drugs here, because Willie had been in the past with that. And Willie said that's all he's talking about is money. It's nothing else. No, just money back and forth.
Yeah, that's all well and good, but that's not the question you ask. You go, where the fuck is the money from,
Where's
Willie?
Where's this money from? Which they're not overly concerned with that shit. And
he's just concerned with being caught with possession of cash, which isn't, and really a guy of his stature who's got millions of dollars, arguably
what
he could.
Fuck? Yeah.
He has a reason to be in possession of lots of cash.
Yeah.
It could fly.
That's what he could say. He could say, "I'm moving it here. I want to go put it in a safe in my house that I have over here."
I work for the Rams.
I'm a
I've got
Rams
a lot
player.
of this.
You could do that. Well, she's going to go alone, though. He doesn't want to be. So it's just going to be a 19-year-old girl. They just figure nobody will fuck with her.
In a Celica.
Yeah.
It's a Rams cheerleader.
I would hope
and a waitress in Dejas.
Yeah. Well, they just think they won't search her bag, which they probably should. Yeah. Any of these, they're the ones who are transporting shit.
Right.
They're the ones. So Tracy obviously reacted positively to this, like we said. She wanted to make $300 or $400. The first flight, her flight would be from L.A. to Memphis, and all Darryl had to do was guarantee her delivery, which basically Darryl would have to come up with $100,000 in the event that something happened to Tracy's suitcase between the time that Willie gives it to her and the time she gives it to Gary West in Memphis.
Okay, so the deal is she gets on a plane that they probably paid for. She flies to Memphis, and they're going to give her $300-400
for flying to Memphis.
Oh, and that deal is backed up and insured by $100,000 from me,
from Darryl.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, from Darryl. So he's
that's
like,
a shit deal.
Yeah, he's like, huh? Basically, he was kind of wondering about that, but it's so funny. They talk about, in the book, they talk about this a lot. They talk about the fact that for Darryl, he's always been ribbed by teammates for being a square. He's always been fucking, everybody's called him a dork. Oh, you went to Catholic school, you did this and that, your parents fucking took, like,
I am gangster as fuck.
Yeah, he literally said, fuck, man, like, I could do something here.
I'm going to back a $300 deal with $100,000.
Yeah. With 100 grand. He said that he compared this time in his life to driving drunk.
Yeah.
He said, quote, you need to call somebody or whatever because you can't drive. You even entertain the disaster possibilities, but you go against that. You're too drunk to get in that car, but you get in anyway and something tragic happens.
Yeah.
And he said, from the beginning of the month when everything was fine till the 15th, that's when the downward spiral happened so fast. And it really fucking does. 15 days. It's fucking crazy. Now, Henley also said this was only a few weeks, and he says it wasn't, he didn't think this was like a big deal. He was just hanging out with a couple people that he thought were his friends. They're old friends of his, and he didn't realize it. He says, quote, for all intents and purposes, they were my friends. I mean, they made me laugh. They came over and we kicked it. They came and watched me work out. If they didn't want to work out, they didn't want to do the job. They just drive alongside me in my Mercedes when I ran, whatever that I wanted them to do. So he just had a bunch of lackeys. They'd come hang out at his house. He had a nice house. This is what entourage. This is his little entourage. He's just formed here.
While I run, they drive.
His hangers on. Right. Yeah, that's all it is.
There are scumbags of life that just won't go away because he's got money. That's what it is.
That's what it. And he says too, he liked it. He thought it was cool. He said he had a different connection with these guys than he did with the Rams because he said this was the time when all of his friends on the Rams were getting traded away and shit like that. So he's like, he just didn't have the same connections with people in football that he used to. So he said he felt close to these people. They're from where he grew up. He knew them when they was younger. All of these things, bad rules.
This is how gangs start.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's so hard because, and this goes for anybody. This goes for just as much for a person if you grow up in a really, really shitty area and then you make it, and then you're supposed to turn your back on these people, and and then they call you an asshole. Right. But if you don't, then you are an asshole because people are trying to drag you down. It's fucking. We get it with fucking comedians even, and we're not on the NFL by any stretch, but they're like, they're too good for me. Right. It's like, no, we're just busy for you. I don't know you, and we're busy.
I'm not coming to your fucking open mic because you need another comic, and that sounds fucking terrible.
Yeah, sorry. So
I'd
then we're the assholes.
A podcast where people actually listen.
Yeah, so then we're the assholes.
Right.
But we're smart and we're not doing that bullshit. Right. But he is He's going to the open mic. Darryl Henley.
The open mic.
He's like, my buddy needs me to go there for the open mic because the crowd's going to suck and whatever. So.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel. Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
And now back to the show.
If you like this show, you are going to love Revenge of the Jocks with Martellus Bennett. Join Super Bowl champ Martellus Bennett as he covers a broad spectrum of what it means to be a creative, to be an activist, and an overall culture-shaping world changer. He's no one-trick pony. Listen free to this show each week exclusively on Apple Podcasts, PodcastOne.com, and the Podcast One app. If you love the show, share it with your friends and leave a rating and review. In honor of self-improvement, you may also like the Dr. Drew Show, the Jordan Harbinger Show, or The Good Life with Stevie and Cezanne. Only on Podcast One.
Go and rate and review. I love that Martellus Bennett guy. And now back to the show.
He liked having those people around. He thought they had the same interests. They liked the same music. He thought they were, together. He says that, he started introducing everybody to everybody, and everybody was just kind of hanging out, and he thought nothing was wrong with the whole thing. He said, quote, ultimately, I'm the one that's responsible for what's happened to my life, but I do think 90% of it is due to the choices I made as far as associations that I picked or chose. Associations with people who at some point I knew didn't have the same interest that I did. And when you compromise that and you allow yourself to lose focus, things can spiral downward, and you can find yourself in a situation where, as hard as you try, you can't pull yourself up. He's an articulate motherfucker too. That's the other thing that pisses me off. It's like, you're too smart for this, dummy. You're too fucking smart.
You're too smart for this, dummy.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a great statement.
It's so true. We're going to say that quite often. You're too smart for this dummy moment of the fucking week. Jesus Christ. So at this point, too, he says, quote, I kept 2 phone lines in the condo because I still had women calling me from California and other places. He had Tracy who would call. He had this other one that he would call. There's another woman named Jennifer Wilson who was moved into his house and his condo with her daughter, and he was taking care of her. And he had all these women. It
sounds exhausting.
It sounds fucking exhausting. He went from having a very simple life where he woke up, worked out. Now he's got all these friends, and there's money going to airports, and he's got all these ladies, and
women living with him, with their
juggling
kids.
and extra phone lines.
This
and
is nuts.
Shit is crazy. July 15th, 1993 is kind of when things really hit the fan. Okay. He's with this Jennifer woman. He wakes up next to her in his condo here in Atlanta, and he says hello, and Willie is on the phone. Okay. Willie says, quote, come get your truck, man. I'm in the wind. See you in the next life. Not what you want to hear when you wake up. So Darryl said, huh? What the fuck happened now? What is going on? He says, quote, the keys are under the left front fender. They got her. She got popped. So Darryl obviously said, where is she? Yeah. And Willie says, Feds got her.
Oh, no.
So Darryl goes, oh, shit, what the fuck? And now he's got this woman next to him going, what's going on? And he's going, never mind. Shut up. Go back to sleep. So Darryl said, quote, so you're just going to leave her because she got caught? And Willie says, hell yeah, I'm just going to leave her.
I know that bitch.
Quote, I ain't trying to be no hero. Yo, if she pages you, do not call her back. That's what he says. So Darryl says, you got to come over here, man. And Darryl says, you're really going to leave her? You're really just going to leave her in jail? And Darryl said he could hear Willie thinking on the other end. He said he knew Willie wasn't a piece of shit, so he was trying to guilt trip him, and Willie said that he'd be over in a minute and hung up the phone. So not a good thing to wake up to.
I'm in the wind, man. See you in the next life.
I'm in the wind. See you in the next life. I'm in the wind. That white girl got busted later. Huh? Back it up like 5 steps. What the fuck is going on here? The problem was here that when she landed in Atlanta, DEA agents were sitting there waiting to talk to her. Yes.
So she had like a layover in Atlanta and was going to go on to Memphis. Is that what it is?
That's Okay. So and she disavowed she said the suitcase wasn't hers, even though she had checked it with the airline. She said, that's not my suitcase. I don't know what you're talking about. Someone must have checked it in under my name. I don't know anything about that. Okay. So they let her leave the airport, and then they got a search warrant to examine the contents of the suitcase, and they found something very interesting in there. They found about 26.5 pounds of cocaine.
Oh, no.
That is not some cash.
Pounds.
That's 12 kilos, that is.
Holy shit. shit.
It's not some cash that you haven't quite paid taxes on. That's a fuckload of cocaine.
Eventually it'll turn into cash.
It will. It'll grow. If you plant it and put a little water on it, money will grow out of that.
Plant that in the Atlanta club scene, and you're about to have a huge money tree.
Absolutely. And then later that day, because she left, and she was like, well, I can't just leave it there. Later that day, she goes back to the airport. She's like, they must have left by now. Yeah. I'm sure they forgot about that. Goes back to claim the bag, and they were obviously still waiting for her, and it's when they arrested her. So they talked to her. They say that was worth about $250,000, which she was carrying. So it was a lot of cash. She tells federal agents that Darryl had approached her earlier in the year with an offer to make her money by transporting cash in suitcases for Willie McGett. She gives it up immediately.
Right away.
She is not a hardened gangster.
No.
Let's go. She's not going to sit there like Junior Soprano looking off into the distance going, I want to talk to my lawyer. Get the fuck. She's like, well, this is what happened. Let me, hold on. You have a pen? Let me write this down for you. Are you recording this? Because this is all very important.
So, do I get my $300 still?
Are you guys giving me the $300 now?
Meanwhile, Willie is a cheap cunt. To force somebody to do something like that
12
for $300.
12 kilos for $300.
$250,000 for $300.
Come on. If you watch fucking Narcos, they took care of people.
Right.
That's how people wanted to help them and do shit. And the mafia, they took care of people. That's why they wanted to help them do shit.
Unbelievable.
Jesus, this is fucking terrible. They used to pay crooked cops $3,000 a month to fucking just to look the other way and to tell them when indictments were coming down and shit.
How did Willie know that she got caught so fast?
He would travel with her.
Oh shit!
What he would do to test it, he would go like 3 rows behind her and sit in the plane, and I'd say, "You don't know me, we don't know each other," and then they'd walk off. That way, he felt like he was kind of protecting the whole thing, and then she would take it somewhere, and they'd meet up, take the money, and that was that.
Okay.
So that was the plan anyway. They said that the indictment says that this indictment for this said that Henley asked Donahoe to meet McGowan at his home in Brea when they were in California on July 2nd and carry a suitcase from Burbank to Memphis. And apparently in Memphis, Donahoe met with one of the other guys there, drove her to an apartment where she gave the suitcase to somebody else, and then they put her on another plane back to California, and they did it again the next day.
Got it.
The problem here was they bought a one-way ticket with cash. Okay. And if you buy a one-way ticket with cash, that's a red flag for some sort of activity that's not wholesome.
Makes sense.
Terrorism, drug trafficking, that's all that shit is one way with cash. So that makes sense. They also said that the indictment says that Henley paid her $1,000 for delivering the suitcase. So somehow the money got upped in here.
Right.
There's a thing too where
a raise.
Yeah, a little bit of a raise.
She's good at this.
She's not bad. The weird thing is too, she like Darryl talks about how he was like kind of pissed off at Willie a little bit because there was a time where she went to Memphis and she was supposed to like stay there and wait till somebody else came in the next day to drop the shit off to him, but they didn't book her a hotel ahead of time, and it was 4th of July weekend.
So she's a diva.
So she called and she said, what am I supposed to do? All the hotels are sold out. I'm sitting here with this suitcase. Where the fuck am I supposed to be? And they were like, you didn't book her a hotel ahead of time, you dumb fuck.
Dummy.
So yeah, it was that sort of thing. So it wasn't a real smooth operation,
right?
We'll say here.
Book her a hotel. I'm giving her $300. Fuck a hotel.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, really. Yeah.
She's doing this for
hotel.
damn near nothing. Why am I going to pay a hotel and be out more money?
Yeah, and the funny thing is they had Tracy and Darryl really in the last month and a half and really just started having sex. Like they knew each other for months. They went on a trip to Vegas where they finally had sex.
Why does he treat her like this?
It's so weird.
It is.
I don't know if I don't know what happened with this guy, but at some point he started thinking, I mean, with the ladies, he said, I like to go out. I like to be single. I like to have a lot of girlfriends. I like to fuck around on them. Yeah. And he didn't feel bad about that shit. That was just the way
he's was. He's not tied down to anybody. He can do it.
He's single. He's not married and shit, but he's still to treat people like they're nothing, to use them to take bags across the country. And especially when you're doing it because you know how they feel about you.
Right.
You know they actually like you and have feelings for you, and you're taking advantage of them by doing that. That's shitty.
There's zero benefit for him. Do you know what I mean? Like in the end of it, he's giving her a job and then backing it with $100,000. He's just going to get that $100,000 back. You know what I mean? There's no benefit at all for him. Why does he treat people like assholes for benefit?
He's trying to help Willie.
He's a cunt.
Nothing in it for him. Trying to help Willie, which is kind of bullshit. I think. Well, it's funny. He got fucked over in this case where he did something he shouldn't have done and whatever, and we'll talk about all that. But then later on, he dives in head first on his own.
Oh boy!
But he's also saying, he didn't. The thing with Tracy, also, he liked the Alyssa girl. Yeah. So he didn't really want to get involved with Tracy that much because he actually liked Alyssa as a serious relationship. Yeah. He said his family liked her and he was into her.
So he's sacrificing her and putting her in this situation just to be friends with Willie.
Friends with Willie. To help Willie because he idolized Willie.
That's gross.
It's so weird. He's got an ego, He's a narcissist with a small ego. It's like a weird thing. Like
hung up on the approval of this dirtbag.
Yeah, that's what it is. Still, it's like he's 10 years old still. Yeah. Now, 93 season. This is the summer of 93. 93 season. He plays football.
Really?
He's fine. He plays. Only plays in 4 games, or only plays 5 games. Starts 4 of them, as we'll talk about why in a moment here. Doesn't have any interceptions. He does have a fumble recovery and 14 tackles. The Rams go 5-11 that year, so they remain shitty.
Yeah.
With Chuck Knox at the helm. They do not go to the playoffs, obviously. But the problem is all that happened in July. 2 months after all this happens, Darryl is now aware of the criminal investigation because Tracy cooperated and he didn't fucking know that at first. So all this is now there's a big criminal investigation into him and into this whole network.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Darryl goes to the police himself to report an extortion attempt against him.
Okay.
He says that he was threatened at gunpoint at the Rams practice facility in Anaheim. He said that 3 men stole his car and a 9mm semi-automatic pistol inside, and said the 2 men allegedly threatened him. Apparently, one of these men who threatened him, who he alleges threatened him, was found shot to death later on that afternoon.
Oh, shit.
So that's an odd thing.
This just got deep.
It got super deep. Was found shot to death. Now they investigate the claims and everything, and they end up not finding any substantiating evidence for that, but they do find a shitload more evidence about his involvement in this cocaine ring. that they look into more. Like, we're not sure about the extortion, but let's discuss this cocaine that we have an issue with. October 9th, 1993. This is about 5 games into the season. This is the end of his season here. Search warrant affidavits by the Orange County Register gets a hold of them. They allege that Henley and Tracy were involved in a more elaborate network than they originally had thought, or that Tracy had said, or that she knew about, for that matter.
That's what it is.
They said that Henley's under investigation for his role in the drug ring. It's been linked to execution-style slayings and death threats against other people.
Oh, no.
The DEA spokesman here confirmed the probe. He said, quote, he's under investigation for trafficking drugs. The press couldn't reach anybody here. They search his Brea house and a Rancho Cucamonga home of a Rafael Bustamante, who's another person in this drug ring. And Darryl Henley's got a 3-bedroom, 2,500 square foot home that they allege is the hub of the operation, with distribution points in Memphis, Tennessee, and Atlanta. Also, Henley's uncle Rex, his older uncle, was a key player in the network because he was just there and had nothing else going on. It's just bad timing that he got laid off and divorced at the same time and got into that, and they need extra people. And like, well, fuck, Rex is just sitting here. You can hand this to him and tell him to go here.
Wouldn't you know it? He's kind-hearted
and he's good intentioned. He's well-intentioned and good-hearted. So he's like, I'll give a suitcase. That's fine.
Great guy to work in your drug ring.
Yeah, no shit. So they also have the homicide detectives have linked the killing of a drug runner named Eric Manning to this ring as well. Quote, Eric Manning and Willie McGowan and Darryl Henley were involved in drug trafficking together, is what the homicide statement said. So I guess they're accusing them. It could also be other people, other drug dealers, suppliers. It's a dirty business. Who the fuck knows who killed anybody? Could have killed him.
It all comes around to the same people. It always wraps around to the same shit.
Yeah.
You know?
It's true. And then they Bustamante is the supplier for the coke ring, and he surrenders on October 1st, and they charge him with an effort to extort an unpaid. Turns out the being held up at gunpoint and having your car stolen wasn't just random. It's an unpaid drug debt that they're pissed off at, so they went and fucking robbed him at gunpoint.
You mean like $250,000 worth of coke that was seized?
Something like that, or just it could have been another, because this was in October. This was later on that he surrendered, so who knows when this occurred. It's fucking insane. The whole thing's nuts. So yeah, they said July 15th. The whole thing stems from buying a one-way ticket paid with cash, and they thought she looked nervous while she did it. So you look nervous, you pay with cash, and you fly one way.
Let's talk.
Don't have coke in your suitcase. So, wow. Once the criminal investigation was public and homicide detectives were publicly saying there's a homicide connected to this man's drug ring, he stopped playing football for the year. The Rams requested and received a roster exemption and got to sign a free agent named Wyman Henderson, who I think played for the Broncos for a while. Henley was earning about $275,000 that year, and he is actually paid during this leave.
Really?
So he leaves the team because he's under a drug investigation, and he is paid for that by the NFL. Wow.
If you can't stop payment for behavior detrimental to the team, what can you do?
But
if
the
you
Rams
can't stop it for this,
but if they do that, then they have to admit that it happened.
That's
the thing. Otherwise, they can hope it goes away. That's what they're trying to do. They just don't want the bad pub, and they're just paralyzed by what the fuck do we do?
Right.
So Rams safety Michael Stewart said that losing Henley is, quote, almost like losing a brother. You lose a brother, and naturally it's going to have an impact on you. They've played together for years. This is fucking nuts. So December 7th, 1993, Tracy makes a court appearance after there's a federal indictment charging her with acting as a courier in the nationwide drug ring. She pleads not guilty and was kept out of custody after her father, who's a retired police officer from Los Angeles County.
And racist as fuck.
And racist as all fuck. Whoa. Yeah. If the mother's like that, imagine what the father's like.
A cop from L.A. County? Crazy.
County
back then.
Oh boy.
Oh my Christ.
Yeah, the way is so racist. The wife even got racist.
It was sexually transmitted.
Yeah.
He jammed a racist dick in her, and then all of a sudden,
N-words started flying.
N-words and chinky chong music. She can't say enough
you
racist
throw an
shit.
Asian in front of her. Forget about it. She just goes, "You're not from here." That's all she says.
Her favorite phrase is "Go back to your country."
Yeah,
she says it to anybody that's less than white.
No speaky. That's what she says. So this guy, her father signed a $25,000 surety bond that will be forfeited if she doesn't make court appearances. So like we said, she's charged with one felony count of cocaine possession and another count of conspiring to operate a narcotics network, and with several others like Henley. Henley also pleads not guilty to the same charges in his court appearance. He's released on $200,000 bail, despite the prosecutors not wanting him released at all. Donahoe said that she thought she was transporting large sums of money in court, obviously, is what she says. Now, during this whole time, Tracy's cooperating, but they have to go through the motions that they're going to charge her and treat her like everybody else, even though they're not. Once she was arrested, by the way, she resigned as a member of the cheerleading squad of the Rams.
That was the day that ended it?
It's weird when your cheerleaders are being heckled. That's not normal.
Right.
Pretrial services report recommended that Donahoe not be taken into custody, and the judge agreed because she's not really a danger to anybody, and she was kind of just a pawn in this whole thing here.
But also the linchpin that brought the whole fucking thing down.
That's she really did.
You got to be nice to her.
She fucked the whole thing up, and she's cooperating. And they said, quote, Donahoe has cooperated fully with pretrial services subsequent to her arrest and release in Atlanta. Her mother and father are both in court, as they're trying to say. Let her fucking go. Jesus Christ.
They're burning a cross out front.
Yeah, they're burning a cross. They're mad they had to come to Atlanta. They said there's too many goddamn black people there. I don't know what's happening.
Of all places to break a crime, you do it in this place?
Christ.
Jesus.
You couldn't have gone to North Dakota where there's no goddamn darkies everywhere. This fucking place.
Black Lana? What's wrong with you?
Christ. I'm the fucking chocolate city? I don't think so. So Yeah, she's doing all that shit. They're in the indictment along with Rafael Bustamante, Alejandro Figueroa Cuevas, and James Timothy Sines are all threatened. Those are the people threatened to kill Henley.
It's an awful lot of Central American names.
Yeah, well, those are the suppliers. Yeah. Those are the three guys that stuck him up.
All right, those are the Colombian fellas.
Yeah, so they're not only indicted for trying to extort him and all that, but they're also co-defendants of his in a different case.
Incredible.
So this is a fucking disaster. Bustamante they identify as the kingpin here, kind of the supplier of everything. Court records here show that Cuevas was a friend of Henley's. They're the ones that stole his 1992 Lexus 400 SE and his gun. Now Manning was shot to death. The guy we talked about, right. one of the robbers, was shot to death outside his apartment, and 9mm shell casings were found around there. Oh. The murder weapon was gone, but they're pretty sure that it was a good chance it was Darryl Henley's gun that killed him. Mm-hmm. So that's not something you want. Also charged are Gary West, G that we talked about, who's also known as Charles Williams. He's in Tennessee in prison for something else. Willie McGowan is also there as well. Yeah. As we know, he's in there. They are all just in to plea. Cuevas, Sanchez, Sines, and Bustamante face up to 20 years in prison and $250,000 fine each on the extortion charges. Wow. Bustamante is also up for life if he's convicted on the drug charges, because he's got a whole bunch. Like we said, Henley's released on $200,000 bail, but his uncle had his bail set at $500,000.
Rex is more important.
He was handling more of the drugs, and I guess Henley's more. I would think he's a greater flight risk. He's got fucking more money, like real money. Can be shown on the books.
It's liquid.
Roger Cossack, Darryl Henley's attorney, said, quote, "I don't know anything about the prior records about anybody else, but Darryl Henley's never been in trouble in all his life, because they're listing everybody else's charges forever, saying why they shouldn't be released. Right. Then they get to him and he's never been arrested in his life. And they're like, this fucking guy's not these people. He said, quote, "He's been active in charity work and for the past 10 months has been terrific in terms of making court appearances and keeping in touch with pretrial services. And a condition of his bail is that he not travel outside Central District of California, which even includes different Southern California counties he's not allowed to go for." Cossack said he'll wait for a modification of bail conditions that allows Henley to travel with the team. They're still talking about football.
Get out of here.
Quote, I can't say anyone saying that this guy's a flight risk. He'll be surrounded by 100 people and millions will be watching him on television every Sunday. It's hard for me to think that the court would not allow Darryl Henley to make a living. Where do you start there?
From this,
where do you even start with that?
It's ridiculous.
So the team officials, they didn't make a statement, but an NFL spokesman said the league had been notified and had nothing to say about Henley's indictment. This is so funny because now they'd have a lot to say about it.
Oh boy, would they!
Willie Flipper Anderson had something to say about it. He said, "I can't believe I'm not on the Dolphins." No, he said, quote, "I can't imagine it. Being the athletes we are and making the money we do, it's hard to see anybody getting involved in something like that. It's a shame." And they played together at UCLA too for a year. They crossed over. Donahoe ends up pleading guilty at the end of this to conspiracy to transport cocaine, and she is going to testify against everybody else. Okay. So obviously their lawyers all say she can't be trusted because she's only testifying against everybody else, so that makes her unreliable. August 9th, 1994. Yeah. Okay, so that was December. August 9th, 1994, Darryl Henley rejoins the LA Rams.
Get out.
But his case is still going. Yeah. It's not over, and he's there. It's fucking insane.
I mean, according to the Constitution, you're innocent until proven guilty. So this is the right path. It's just fucking
it's just weird.
Not there.
It's just super weird. He said, quote, his lawyer said, quote, "My client is not facing a mandatory minimum 10-year sentence, and yet he's at Metropolitan Detention Center in Los Angeles. I'm having some difficulty with this." And they ended up letting him out and letting him play. Not only that, all of these other people, he's released last week. Everybody else is still in jail waiting for their trials to begin. They're not out. They don't have the money for the bail, number one, and they all have criminal records.
They're
Tracy's
also
out,
not
too.
NFL players.
They're also not NFL players. That's a good point here. Quote, one defense attorney who said, quote, there's been a real disparity in treatment of this case. Darryl Henley is clearly a celebrity who's been in the limelight, and although nobody's saying it, his case has been handled differently. That's one of the other people's defense attorneys, which makes sense. Henley's attorney defended this treatment, saying that he poses no risk and he's not like the others because he doesn't have a long criminal record, which also makes sense.
Wait till you get a load of the OJ trial, boys.
But we're going to talk about that for a second too here. We're definitely going to have to talk about that because their trials go on at the same time.
Is that right?
Both in L.A. and have very different results because they're in very different places.
Wow.
So 1994, he starts 14 games for the Rams while this is all going on. He's still playing football. 3 interceptions. He has a fucking good year. 3 interceptions. Are you kidding me?
Not even thinking about coach.
Jesus fucking no. 61 tackles, 3 interceptions. It's as good a year as he's ever had.
Yeah.
Like, that's insanity. The Rams go 4-12 though because they're terrible, obviously, that year. So that is the last though he's going to play football. But we'll talk about he also returned some kicks that year. Fucking silly. So a guy named Chuck Miller, who I assume is a coach, he actually played with Henley at UCLA, was asked how he thought Henley came to be involved in a scheme to transport cocaine around the country. He said, quote, this is a black guy, by the way, very important that this is a black man saying this, quote, any black athlete can tell you that he knows a drug dealer. When you hit it big, the first thing they come at you with is loan me some money, I'll pay you back. That's just anybody who's poor, who grows up around a lot of people who are poor.
It doesn't have to be a black guy.
No.
That guy is just fucking...
I think he's just black and that's his experience. Yeah. But that's anybody who grows up poor. They tend to have people around them that are like, oh, you have money now.
Right.
Let me have some of it.
Right.
Because
poor people don't generally hang out with a bunch of rich people.
That's different, yeah.
Betting on the fact that one day they're going to be rich too.
It usually doesn't happen.
The rich people are like, get the fuck out of here, riffraff.
Plus, you can't afford to do anything with them either. I've had that experience before. I'm like, I can't afford to be friends with people. Like,
we're going to go to the lake, bro. You coming?
No.
Yeah, I'll come with you. That's fine.
I can't afford any of the stuff that goes with it.
I got to ride with you, though.
Yeah.
No, we're going to get this houseboat. You just got to chip in like $750.
No.
What say
beer
again?
And food and no.
I got a beer.
Yeah.
If you've got food, I'll be all right.
I'm just going to stay home. How's that? You send me like pictures of that shit and show me how it was.
Let me know how it goes.
So January 28th, 95, the trial begins, and it's the same time as the OJ trial, only OJ takes place in LA County downtown, and he gets a jury with some black people on it, and this takes place in Orange County, and he gets a jury with fucking white people on it.
All of Tracy's parents' friends.
Oh, and Tracy's parents, she's whispering.
Yeah.
Tracy's mom is probably on the jury of this case, even though her daughter's involved in it.
Oh, Jesus.
So there's 8 people. 4 of them are co-defendants, and they're each represented by a different attorney. The prosecutors, they make Henley out to be a sinister motherfucker.
Yeah.
They say in their opening statements that he seduced the 19-year-old Donahue with his celebrity status, expensive trips, and money, and seduced her into transporting cocaine. That was the plan all along, as he was looking to recruit a young girl to do this.
Wow.
Meanwhile, I don't think that was right. They say that he paid her more than $1,000 to carry suitcases and said it was, quote, real estate money when it was actually cocaine. They said that Donahue was hooked, adding she'd do anything for Darryl Henley, the football star. This was much more exciting than her job at the local pancake house. So they're making him out to be just a fucking monster. He's just going around trolling. He's like a pimp that's flipping a coin and chewing on a toothpick. That's who he is. Like,
and throwing these women to the wolves.
That's all it is. So they said that Henley functioned as a front man for the drug ring, he'd guarantee the supplier returns on the cocaine because he had money in the bank. They had a network of phone bills, tolls, hotel records, plane tickets, wire transfers, car rental receipts, all that connect Henley with all the other defendants, obviously, because one would rent it and he'd pay for it or something like that. The prosecutor said, quote, these people left paper trails all over the place.
Well, yeah, when you got a money man, he's using his credit card to buy shit.
This is a terribly set up drug operation.
It sounds like Rex was the man that brains behind
Rex was
it.
like, I got an idea. They're like, we know you're good-hearted, Rex, but maybe you shouldn't be setting up drug operations.
We could use y'all's credit cards. We'll just do that.
Now, Rams, what he says here, Henley, he's got a different thing. He says, his attorney says that he is the victim of an elaborate frame-up job by Tracy and her parents, who are racist. Did we tell you that? Of course,
that's
racist.
Right.
So, elaborate frame-up job. She was transporting cocaine for somebody else, and they said, we'll blame Darryl, and they had made up this entire paper trail and all. This is not a likely story here.
What a bad fucking lawyer. Why don't you just say he was blinded by the fact that he loved a man, and the man told him that it was all real estate money? Just stick with that fucking story.
That makes sense. They had to try to make it worse than it is. They said that she pleaded guilty, so she's just trying to stay out of prison, so she can't be trusted. Darryl's attorney said, quote, there is a conspiracy in this case, a nasty one, two nasties. The conspiracy was formed in the Donahoe household to frame Darryl Henley and save their daughter.
And then a lightning strike.
Shit. Did Trump tweet that? What the fuck, man? Like, seriously, that's just like
nasty. It's double nasty.
A nasty one. A conspiracy was formed in this household to prevent me from being president. What the fuck is going on?
All it needed at the end was sad. With an exclamation point.
To save their daughter. Sad. Sad they'd want to save their daughter.
Unbelievable.
So Cossack said that Henley's only friends with his co-dependents. This is what his co-defendants. His lawyer says that. They said he never participated in the drug conspiracy. They said that Henley's signature was forged on certain receipts, and he didn't know who forged them, obviously. There's no accusation there, but definitely a forgery. That Rex, damn it. People thought they were brothers. They say that Henley is being framed by Donahoe's father, Terry, who's a former police officer. Under his direction, Terry and Donahoe embellished her story several times, inventing charges against Henley in hopes of winning a greatly reduced sentence for her crime. Oh, my God. Cossack said that Terry Donahoe told authorities, quote, if we have to give up Darryl Henley, we will. Well, yeah, that when she got arrested, he probably said, what does my daughter have to do to get out of prison?
Right.
Give up the guy? We don't give a fuck.
Who's the guy?
Him.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the dad and mom gave an N-word laden fucking confession.
Some other people are going to say the N-word in a minute here.
Get out of here.
Oh, it's coming.
Good Christ.
So they portrayed him as a model citizen, Darryl. His lawyers did. They said he was a student athlete, maintained a B average, All-America football player, that Henley was shocked when he learned that Tracy'd been arrested for transporting cocaine. Couldn't imagine. Quote, Darryl Henley is a young man who, but for this, has the world by the tail. Now, if convicted, he could be sentenced to up to life in prison and fined $4 million.
Whoa.
She is going to testify. One of the attorneys working on Henley's defense when he went on trial said that Henley was motivated. This is later on after the trial. He says he was motivated by vanity and cool. He said he was brought up by educated in parochial schools, and he craved the excitement with drug dealers and just the general street shit here.
He was bored, James. He was bored by success.
He was bored by it. Yeah, he literally was. He had nothing else going on. They said that all of the other defendants had rap sheets and previous drug convictions except for him and his uncle Rex, who is characterized... Jesus H. Christ. Characterized as a, quote, dim-witted bystander.
Retard.
Which translates from good-hearted, means dim-witted bystander. Jesus Christ.
But I thought he was the kingpin, you guys. His bail is higher than the guy that you're painting to be an absolute monster.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you're calling a guy retarded, first of all. Don't beat around the bush.
Yeah.
Just say it.
Just say he's retarded,
you think
he's
you
a
guys.
little slow.
Right.
Sorry. Jesus Christ.
It's ridiculous.
So they are all convicted, by the way, on every count on this. They're all convicted March 28th, 95. Darryl says about this that he was just trying to be a silent financial insurance for McGowan. Yeah. He said that, I was just trying to help Willie out. I said I would be there for him if anything went wrong. I wasn't seeing any financial gain from this.
Yeah.
Which Willie was fucking seeing financial gain from him.
Crazy.
Now, for the appeal of this is when it gets interesting, because that's pretty cut and dry and whatever. This is when it gets interesting. A month after all this, a juror named, Brian Quihus, Quihus,
Nope.
Q. Hughes, juror Brian, contacted the court and reported he'd been the subject of a bribery attempt orchestrated by Darryl Henley and another juror, Michael Malachowski. So this
Brian and the OC, they tried to bribe
a juror. May 8th, 1995, the appellants, they filed a joint motion for a new trial claiming juror misconduct deprived them of a fair trial. During the investigation, they found this shit, okay? Michael Malachowski, who's another juror, he'd been excused from the jury during the trial for reasons unrelated to misconduct. He paid an unsolicited visit to the home of Darryl and Rex Henley on March 20th, 1995, while the trial was still in progress. He told the Henleys that they should contact him in the event they were convicted because he had information that might entitle them to a new trial. Mm-hmm. Specifically, he said he informed the Henleys that he had carpooled with two other juries, juror Brian and Sean O'Reilly, the most Irish man ever, and the three of them had discussed the evidence on the way in violation of the court's instructions. The following day, Henley contacted Malachowski and asked whether Malachowski knew any sitting juror who might be willing to vote not guilty on the charges against both the Henleys. Mm-hmm. That's how that happened. Malachowski informed Henley that juror Brian had confessed to using methamphetamine on the weekends and that juror O'Reilly had made racist remarks.
Wow.
Henley instructed Malachowski to...
An Irish guy?
An Irish guy named Sean
said some
racist? Come on. No, I don't believe it at all. If you've ever been to Boston, you don't believe that for a second. So Henley told Malachowski to approach juror Brian and, quote, do anything it takes to secure a not guilty vote. In exchange, Henley promised Malachowski a job with the Rams.
What?
This is what he did. So this is fucking nuts. So March 21st, Malachowski visits juror Brian at his home and asks him if he would want payment for a not guilty vote. Juror Brian said he was shocked, and he searched Malachowski for a recording device, like he's wearing a fucking wire, which is amazing. And then they started discussing money once he realized he wasn't wearing a wire, settling conditionally on a figure of $25,000 to $50,000, which is very vague.
Yeah.
Juror Brian insisted on speaking directly to Henley. Malachowski and Juror Brian then drove to a payphone to call Henley. Juror Brian and Henley discussed the bribe, and Juror Brian indicated that he wished to be paid half the money in advance.
Right now.
This is all shit that's going on now. So, Juror Brian told him that he's told Malachowski he's tentatively decided to accept Henley's offer, but he'd like to consider the matter further and would contact Malachowski with his final answer. He had second thoughts after that. He then called Malachowski and informed him that he didn't want to participate in the scheme. Mm-hmm. So juror Brian, meth or not, is still coming up. Doesn't want to do this.
This is amazing, though, and it's fascinating to get, like, if you get pooled and jury pooled, and then you get, like, on a big case like this.
Yeah.
You potentially just won the lottery with your guilty or not guilty.
You know how many times John Gotti got off of these trials because they were bribing jurors and threatening people?
I would love to be
fucking awesome
on a trial that is something big like
Jimmy
that.
wants to be bribed. Damn it.
I want to pay my mortgage.
That's right. I got a mortgage. So the next few days, the jury was in deliberations. They were kept contacting juror Brian, trying to get him to reconsider. Several times Henley called juror Brian from his cell phone, but he never answered juror Brian. Malachowski made frequent calls to juror Brian and even drove to his house in an attempt to speak with him. Ultimately here, juror Brian tells his parents to tell Malachowski he wasn't home. 2 days after the deliberations began on March 24th, juror Brian informed the trial judge that he'd seen a newspaper article about the case and had learned that Henley was facing a possible life sentence if convicted. Mm-hmm. He also reported that the article had made a big impact on him and that he had difficulty sleeping. After questioning juror Brian, the court determined that he need not be disqualified on account of his exposure to the article. Okay. So he ends up staying on. So the day before the jury returned its verdict, Malachowski spoke to juror Brian and relayed Henley's concern that juror Brian was attempting to get himself excused from the jury. Imagine being a juror, that enough pressure, but then having the actual guy who's up to be guilty calling you on the phone.
Right.
So now Malachowski made it clear that Henley would pay $50,000 for a vote of not guilty, and juror Brian again declined, and the jury returned a verdict of guilty the next day.
Okay.
So, following the convictions, Malachowski provided a deposition to Rex Henley's attorney, in which he swore that it seems that he said that Juror Bryan had initiated the bribery scheme. He basically said everything he did, Juror Bryan actually did, and all that sort of thing. Malachowski also alleges that Sean O'Reilly had made several racist remarks while carpooling, including the statement, quote, "all N-words should hang," which is strong coming from a fucking juror.
Yeah, you can't
not
say that.
cool.
No.
Not okay to say.
I mean, they said it in
really
Full Metal
anywhere.
Jacket, but that's a tough fucking. That's a tough phrase.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
And Los Angeles on the way to a fucking. This is ridiculous. Finally, Malachowski said that Juror Bryan used drugs during the trial and that they had engaged in premature deliberations, all that stuff. So this was what he said. Let me know if you need anything. Who knows what he was paid for this. Also, Malachowski testified he embellished O'Reilly's statements later on, though, and although Riley had indeed used the N-word, he didn't use it in reference to any of the defendants on trial, which really doesn't matter. He's just casually throws the N-word around with strangers that he just met in court that he's serving on a fucking jury with.
And not just casually saying statements like that. It's fucking, that's a blanket statement about all. Jesus, man. You're the Hitler of black people? Calm down.
Yeah, this is fucking nuts, man. He said one of the FBI reports said that Juror Bryan acknowledged at some point during the trial that while either carpooling from to or from a trial, O'Reilly said, quote, the N-words are guilty, or that N-words are guilty in general. Okay. So not sure which one it is. The judge asked why didn't Judge Bryan or Juror Bryan ever go to the judge with this, and he said he was scared. He said he was extremely scared that if he went to the judge, something would happen to his family, based on the reports of murders and shit like that going on, which that honestly makes sense. I would think, because he learned during the trial that Bustamante had threatened to witness, and that one of the other defendants said he would kill somebody's son if he didn't perjure himself in a trial in their behalf, obviously.
And they fucking mean it, because they killed somebody.
They killed somebody, exactly. So while behind bars, if this isn't bad enough, he's trying to whatever. While behind bars now, Henley, when this all is going on, waiting for sentencing, he pays a guard to smuggle a cell phone to him at night.
What are you doing?
Okay, this fucking moron. He's paying this guard to smuggle in a cell phone, so he says so he can talk with his family and his fiance and all that sort of thing, because he just had a daughter. Fiance just gave birth to a daughter.
What a dipshit.
Great. Yeah. He said also that he would use this. A guy in prison here, somebody in the cell block said that he could hook him up with a member of the mafia to help him make more money to finance some heroin deals, so he can find, because he's running out of money and he needs to appeal this case. These are expensive. Make money fast. So he needs to make money fast. So now he's actually going to fucking try to be a drug dealer.
Oh my God.
So he's speaking on the phone with an older man named Joey Gambino, who if you name yourself after the whole family, you fucked it up right there. Who had been introduced to Henley by an inmate on Henley's cell block. Over the phone, this guy offered Henley a stake in a heroin deal. Mm-hmm. He said, if you want to put some money in this, he was, appealing his convictions and needed the fucking money for the juror misconduct and trying to bribe jurors. He's got all this shit. He knew it was going to be a costly trial. He said, so he's considered Gambino's offer and accepted it. He said, quote, like an idiot, I did it purely for the money. I had a baby daughter. My family was broke. I wanted to fight the verdict. So finally, Henley says, listen, I don't have any upfront cash for the drug deal is the problem, which is a problem in that case.
Huge problem.
So it's they do.
Hinging on the money, and the money's not there.
Not only does Gambino say, that's not a problem, we can get it fronted, he also says, you know what, I heard you've been having some problems. Why don't I kill that cheerleader for you? He goes, I'll kill that cheerleader, and while I'm at it, too, why don't I kill that fucking pain-in-the-ass judge who's been ruling against you on all your motions and all that shit? I'll kill the cheerleader, I'll kill the judge, and we'll fucking get this thing back to normal. He says, and don't even worry about the money because we're doing this big heroin deal. Whatever's supposed to be coming back to you on the first deal, I'll take as payment for that, and then we'll start over on the next one.
Wow.
No problem. I just want to work with you. We'll take care of this.
We like you.
We like you.
I really like the head on your shoulders.
I like the cut of your jib, guy.
You talk well. You talk well. I like how you're so educated and shit. It's fucking great.
No
Having
shit.
conversations with you is so fun.
It's fucking wonderful.
I learned so much.
I'm having a good fucking time over here.
I learned juxtaposition from you. I love that word.
I learned that word. You know what? I didn't know that fucking word, but now I know it, and now I feel better. Problem was the Joey Gambino is not really Joey Gambino.
Of course not.
He is a DEA agent named Mike Bansmer. Who recorded all of these conversations and got this fucking idiot to say, yes, please kill a federal judge and my girlfriend, who, by the way, is a witness in a federal judge case.
A dipshit.
Both of which highly illegal. So now there's no fucking bail. There's no nothing. Jail, and more jail. Yeah. Fucking sitting there.
How does he sit there in jail and go, give me a phone, would you? And then they get him a phone, and then he makes a phone call, and he calls a guy that goes, yo, this is Joey Gambino. And he's like, perfect. You're the perfect guy.
Gambino. I've heard of them.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
You're a fucking idiot for falling for that.
He might as well have said, this is Don Corleone. And had him go, okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Corleone.
I've seen all your movies, sir. I can't wait to do business
Hello,
with
this is Scarface. Would you like to sell drugs with me? Like, that's what he would have said. And Darryl would have been like, all right.
I would love to.
I think so. I heard of Scarface. Fucking ridiculous. Now he's really fucked.
How stupid.
He's super fucked. He's sitting there, has no idea what to do. He's just totally screwed. He he's in the visitor room one day, too, and I would be worried if I was him for anybody visiting me because someone could kill you at any point and start strangling you.
A real Gambino might show up.
That's what I mean. So then he's waiting for somebody and he gets the most unexpected visitor ever. It's my grandma. And she says, Ma, how is it you've come to arrive here? Ma, what are you doing? Ma, look at you. Oh, my handsome young man. You're shiny like the skin of the seal. I like you, very handsome. You have nice girl, nice young lady you have. And what do? You put her on plane with the drug. Why the drug? Huh? You don't need the drug. You smoke the cocaine? Is that what you do? You smoke the cocaine, don't you? Oh, ma, such a handsome young man. You ruin it all. Ma, look at you, so handsome. Now you go, now you make putan out of her. And now you sit in the jail. Oh, maybe her parents were right. I don't know. Poof. And in a puff of marinara sauce and sort of racism, my grandmother's gone. She's not that racist, but still she'd be like, I don't know.
I'm not sure about you.
She's gone. I'm not sure about you. You goodbye. You go. So June of 96 are the new charges. Yeah. This is he pleads not guilty to 13-count indictment that now alleges murder plots along with new proposed drug sales.
Unbelievable.
Also, Eric Henley, who is
his little brother.
He is also he played for Rice and is at this point was also a Denver Broncos draft choice.
Son of a bitch.
Not at that time, but a little bit earlier. He is also accused of conspiring to distribute 25 kilos of cocaine with several people in L.A., including his brother, and he was in on the scheme.
Unbelievable.
So also Alyssa Denman is also in this, his girlfriend, and Kim Taylor, who's another woman. They were, I guess, they were supposed to purchase 55 pounds of cocaine from an undercover agent. This
what an asshole.
Joey Gambino there. Wow. He's awaiting sentencing for his original trafficking, and now he's got these totally new charges. He tried to obviously put this together. June 12th, 1996, a federal grand jury accusing, Jesus Christ, Henley of conspiring to murder a judge who convicted him of smuggling cocaine. This is fucking nuts, man. He's trying to put together these cocaine deals. They're saying they were also trying to finance the contracts for killings were for $100,000 a piece. That was what they were going to pay through these drug deals. Also, a Rodney Anderson, who's a 29-year-old guard at L.A. Metropolitan Detention Center, was charged as a conspirator because he brought in the cell phone.
Right.
Now, who knows if he knew what he was using it for? But it doesn't matter at this point.
This is such a slam dunk case. Dude.
Yeah, and the parents have to be losing it because now 2 of their sons are involved in this. Why'd you get your little brother involved in it too, you fucking moron?
We did so great for so long. What the fuck? Man.
So when they're deciding here, I'll tell you about that later here. So October 17th, 1996, there's a plea deal.
Okay.
As a part of this plea agreement, Henley faces a sentence of 41 years and 3 months in prison after he admits in federal court that he conspired to murder a federal judge and a witness and a prosecution witness in a fucking trafficking case.
So he pled guilty.
And bribed a prison guard.
Good Lord.
Yeah, he was fucked. He was facing just straight life.
Yeah.
So they were like, let's figure this out here.
See if we can get it to 41.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get it down. If that's 41 years, 3 months.
That's hard negotiating.
They asked, the district judge kept asking him if he was, understood the length of time he'd be guaranteed of serving. They said, quote, that's 495 months in prison. Do you understand that? And that's something like 42 years. And he's just said, yes, sir, I understand. So his brother was also there. He entered a guilty plea. He's going to be sentenced to 7 to 8 years in prison. The brother is, when they're sentenced later on in January. Fuck, man, this is crazy. This whole thing just exploded into somewhere you'd never expect it to explode to in a million fucking years. They said, quote, one of the attorneys for the prosecution said, quote, in his own recorded words, Darryl Henley revealed himself to be both a narcotics trafficker and a would-be murderer.
Yeah.
I would say so. The judge said he fully intends to sentence him to the length of time called for by the plea agreement. He made a point of noting that Henley would be serving the maximum sentence the court could impose for the attempt on Judge Taylor's life.
Good.
Judges don't like it when you want to kill other judges.
No.
Like, even I read a bunch of mafia shit. Anthony Gaspipe Casso was a mob guy. Right. He was like an underboss of the Lucchese family.
Beat people with a gas pipe.
And he didn't actually. It was his father's nickname, and they just called him it.
So his dad's nickname.
His dad's nickname was gas pipe because he used to beat up Union scabs with gas pipes.
Right. I knew of that guy. Didn't know of this guy.
But Anthony Gaspipe Casso is the one, you know who he is. His dad was just a dock worker you never heard of. Gaspipe was an underboss for the Lucchese family. And he flipped, and they ended up not using his testimony because one of the things he admitted to was setting up a deal to kill a federal judge. He was like, yeah, we were going to kill that guy. And they were like, whoa, we can't work with this fucking guy. We can't work with this fucking guy now. So he had a treasure trove, made Sammy the Bull look like he knew nothing because he was the guy, he set up all the deals. Like, he was the guy in charge of everything really for the Lucchese's, and they didn't take him because of that, because they, so they're sensitive about that is what I'm getting at. Even if you have all the information on the mafia that can convict everyone, they still won't use you if you try to do that. Yeah, not great at all. So sentencing, 2 judges sentence Henley because there's 2 different things to sentence him for.
Right.
There's the drugs and the murder for hire cases are separate deals. The one judge says, quote, you've really screwed up your life, haven't you? And he says, yes, sir. Henley does, because obviously he has.
There's no argument.
They're having him serve his time in Marion, Illinois, which is one of the worst federal prisons there is. That's where John Gotti was. That's where they put him. And he said he ran into Gotti a few times.
Is that right?
When he went there.
And Gotti laughed at him?
Yeah. He said, look at this fucking jerk off.
You thought a Gambino would call you?
At least I got rich first, you fucking idiot. Jesus Christ. At least I was the boss. You made 2 deals and a phone call, and you're fucking in here forever, you idiot. 2 deals and 1 phone call. Here you are, dummy. So,
oh fuck, that's hilarious.
One of the
2 deals and 1 phone call, and all I got is a life sentence.
Yeah, nice job, jackass. So this Judge Eidman says, quote, it is obvious that he, speaking of Darryl, he can be more dangerous in custody than out on the streets. If there was ever a guy who needs to be locked down 24 hours a day, it's Henley. The defendant is obviously is a complete and hardened criminal, so any speeches to him would be a waste of time.
Wow.
You, sir, may fuck off. 41 years in prison for drug offenses. By the way, no parole on that.
Yeah.
That is 41 years.
He's doing all of them.
He's doing 41 years in 3 months for drug offenses and murder conspiracy. Whoa. He says afterwards, Henley says, quote, you can't look at me and say, oh, a product of the environment. I have some pretty awesome parents and I was living a dream I worked my ass off for. I lost focus. It was as simple as that. I lost focus as to knowing what got me to where I was. No shit. Donahoe here, by the way, is the only white person in this whole entire conspiracy. She gets 4 months in a halfway house, but she also did the least of everybody.
True.
She was making the least, but 4 months in a halfway. That seems a little light.
She did the most in terms of hardest, most risky work.
Yeah. But the least planning and the least, but still, 4 months is a little light. Let's give her a year. What do you say? Let's make her go to prison, actually, and a halfway house too.
Sure seems like her dad may have had some pull.
You think a little bit? Yeah, I think maybe that was part of the deal. January 21st, 2000, he is sitting in a federal penitentiary while the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. He says, quote, I get here and all they show on TV are the Rams. I remember saying to myself, God, now you're really punishing me.
You betcha.
He's like, fuck, I can't, God damn it.
Sit there and watch Kurt play.
That's it right there. Fuck. He said, quote, that's why it's affected me personally more than anything else. I shouldn't be locked up. I put myself here.
Unbelievable.
Which, yeah, dummy. Yeah. Fucking dummy, and dummy. Yeah. 2001, this is very interesting. 2001, Ninth Circuit federal court ruled that the racial bias on the Henley jersey warranted a deeper look. Presiding judge and the prosecutors on Henley's case quietly made the whole thing go away by releasing Henley's co-defendants who all got out of jail in 2001.
Get the fuck out of here.
Who all served fractions of their 12 to 18-year sentences. However, Henley stays locked up because he gave away his right to contest the trial verdict as part of his plea agreement.
Unbelievable.
So he's fucked. Everyone else gets to go home. And he made, honestly, the other guys were really the ones doing all this shit.
And they killed somebody.
And they killed someone.
Wow.
They killed someone. There's dead people.
Yeah.
The Rams do this whole thing. We're like, what is happening to this whole shit? He's got a baby. Yeah. He's got a kid. He's got 15 fucking girlfriends. Poor goddamn T.H. Thomas Henley's an embarrassed motherfucker. I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy, but not nearly as bad as I feel for Darryl Henley, singer with the Highlights Music Ministries, who sings all sorts of gospel music. They have albums called Thankful, Just One Lifetime, Pouring Water. So there's some Christian shit right there. Also, Darryl Henley, independent motion picture and film professional in the greater Los Angeles area, who has a ton of credits. Credits. 300, Rise of an Empire. He's an illustrator. Scary Movie 5. He's a storyboard artist.
He's a fucking artist.
He's an artist. Yeah, he does storyboards for 5-year engagement. Storyboard artist. Wanderlust. Storyboard artist. He's got credits as long as can be since 1985.
More fucking successful than anybody I know.
And lives in L.A. and spells his name with 2 fucking R's and everything. That poor son of a bitch. You poor bastard. So January 2003 is when writer Michael McKnight goes and meets with him and starts talking to him and just meets with him. He said that they hit it off, and Darryl agreed with Michael wholeheartedly about his vision for the book. He said, quote, Henley is frighteningly intelligent, very self-aware. He knows he made dreadful, dreadful errors. He just wants his story told, warts and all, because everything written about him previously failed to scratch beneath the eye-catching headlines. Cocaine, NFL cheerleader, murdering a judge. My mandate was, what the hell happened here?
Yeah.
He said, quote, I'd like readers to see if that can happen to Darryl Henley, it can happen to anyone. I'd like us to step away from our knee-jerk judgments about athletes who get in trouble and instead ask, how did this happen? What points along the curve led to this drop downward? Usually it's not very sudden. It's almost invisible accumulation of circumstances, people, and conversations. The point is, Darryl had it all, not just materially, but in terms of intellect, his family support, stability, and unconditional love he was given from the day he was fucking born.
Yeah.
He didn't say fucking. I threw that in there, but still, I wish he would have said fucking. So, his only child, Gia, his daughter keeps up with him, would go see him in prison all the time. She moved closer. She moved from LA to go to the University of Houston so she could be closer to her, closer to her dad and visit him more, which is fucking crazy. He said, quote, I'm going to continue to be the best father I can be to her under these circumstances. Well, you don't have much of a life, but I have a life. I have a life where I can still be progressive and still be positive no matter how hard it gets.
Good Lord.
Jesus, that's fucking sad. Currently, from what I found, not currently, but in 2015, he was serving at a relatively low security facility in Yazoo, Mississippi. It says that Yazoo is low security. He earned a transfer there by keeping his head down during the years he spent at 2 of the worst prisons, which was Marion and Florence, Colorado there. And by using the education he gained in all of his schooling and at UCLA to help inmates learn their GEDs, there's attempts at prison reform all around Darryl Henley, who are saying he shouldn't be in there. They said for 2 decades he's transformed the education departments in the correctional facilities across the country, successfully guiding over 2,000 inmates to their GED certifications. Basically, he since he's been in there, he's been
doing great things.
After he got, not since he was in jail in the first place, because then he was hiring people to murder federal judges. But since he's been done and locked there, he's good now. Right. He's good now.
Also, the murder part, like he's already convicted for the drug offense.
Yeah,
and that's already over.
Yeah.
Why are you going to kill the girl now? Like, why are you going to kill her? Right.
Just revenge.
Just revenge.
And the judge, too. It was just because he was the one who fucking...
It's already over.
He denied his motions and shit like that. He said about prison, quote, "In the beginning, you don't even want to wake up. You just want to be dead. And not because of 2031, but because of today and tomorrow, and there's nothing." Because he's not supposed to get out until 2031. Right now, according to the federal inmate search thing, he is in Oklahoma City somewhere. This federal prison there. His number is 01915-112. His release date is July 23rd, 2031, which is brutal.
So far away.
He said, quote, "Not one thing we did was worth it. Not one place we went. Not one stripper we saw. Nothing. Not one thing was worth that. Not one thing was worth them saying guilty as charged. These are the demons I have to battle every single night."
Yeah.
Can't get enough of Darryl Henley.
Here's the thing, real quick. Darryl, the only question I want to look him in the eye and ask is, when the body turns up of the judge and the girl,
then what?
What the fuck now?
Then what? Yeah,
they're going to piece that to you, you dipshit.
That's the thing.
You're an idiot.
He can say all he wants. And you know what? I'm sure he didn't suggest killing the girl, or I'm sure they tried to entrap him and all that shit. But he said he didn't go, "No, fuck no, I'm not killing a judge. Fuck that. That's crazy." Right. He didn't say that, which is the thing you should say when someone suggests murdering a federal judge or a woman for that matter. Go, "No, that's crazy. I can't do that because that's insane."
Haven't I put her through enough? Why would I do that to her?
No shit. So anyway, can't get enough of Darryl Henley. You can get his football cards all over the place. Sure. They're like $1 everywhere you go. And don't worry, they're plentiful and cheap. Also, get the book and read all 500, because this story, I mean, we could have talked. This could have been a 6-hour episode because there's so many details of the drug conspiracy, of his childhood, of his upbringing that we just couldn't get into with this. So if you're more interested, check out the book Intercepted: The Rise and Fall of NFL cornerback Darryl Henley by writer Michael McKnight. It's a very good job he did. Thank him for some details that we filled in.
That's the only pun that I'm okay with in this point, because he got intercepted.
He got intercepted like a motherfucker. Yeah, he life intercepted.
You betcha.
So that is Darryl Henley, and that's one of the strangest stories we've ever had. Honestly, it's a weird one.
What the fuck?
I've been saving it for a while because it's a good one, and I wanted us to be able to cover it properly, and I think we could do it now.
That's a genuine what the fuck. Why would you do that?
Genuine head scratcher.
You bet.
Fuck, if you're still scratching your head when you're done with that, head over to iTunes and give us 5 stars. Tell us you're following instructions, following directions. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com to buy all your merchandise, t-shirts. There's also links there to our social media, and also links to where you can donate. And those links they'll take you to patreon.com/crimeandsports, or you can go to PayPal, make a one-time donation, which is with using our email address, which is crimeandsports@gmail.com. Also, you want to follow us, we're at Crime and Sports on all the social media. Take a look there, but none of that shit is important. Jimmy, hit us with the list of people that you do not want to federally conspire to murder. Our producers. Let me have it now.
This week's executive producers are, already? I'm going to do this already. Emily Felker, Chrissy Ann Castaldi.
You didn't even say executive producer right. Never mind.
Did I miss that? What'd I say?
I don't know. You said was a producer.
Okay, well.
You were worried about names.
Yeah, this week's executive producers are Emily Felker, Chrissy Ann Castaldi, TJ Daly, Eva Tarowska, Brittany Helm, Stephanie Yeager, who... Holy shit,
she's
how
so cool.
Sweet
Thank
of
you.
you. Thank you, Stephanie. And Christy Brown. Thank you, guys. You guys are fantastic. We can't do it without you.
Not at all.
Kirby Dotson, Justin Inwood, Graham Luber, Danielle Childs, Damon King, Devonport? No, it's not. It's Devonfort.
Devinson?
Devonport.
Devonport?
Yeah, or Devonfort.
Jesus.
I write like a fucking child.
Devonport.
Yeah.
Somebody named their kid Devon.
They did that.
And a very nice person, too.
Yeah.
Named their kid Devon after their... Wow. Okay.
Right. That's brutal.
Jesus.
Tamisha Dorico, Zachary Cornell, Jessica Hartke, James Price, Sharifa Charles. I think that's Sharifa Hay, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Reagan
Thank you.
Dorman, Reagan or Regan? It might be Reagan. It's probably what fucking? There's no extra A.
There's no way to know that.
There isn't. There's two pronunciations.
I don't think there's any way for us to judge that from where we're sitting now.
Nicole Venaro, Karen Edgen, Justin Higgs. Yes. Elizabeth Smith. Ariana Folsom, mind you, told us to Google her, and she is a model, and that's why there are nude pictures of her online, I guess. I don't know. I don't know why I just said that out loud.
She gave us money?
She did, twice.
Hold on a second. Okay, never mind. Okay, you guys get the pause.
Right.
Yeah, that's the irony and the I don't even know there is amazing, and we love it.
Ryan Foley, Martina Kunkel, Casey Moore, Sarah Shafalo, Cabron, Landrin, Lauren Demarath. She's in Chicago. How did I do that?
You went down a long tunnel for that. There,
tough. I'm sorry.
You were digging. There was dirt flying behind him.
She's the one that gave me breakfast. She's fantastic.
Hey, good.
Kate Myers, Lisa Bayless, Matt. Malt? Why would I think his name is Malt?
Whose fucking name is Malt that you've ever met?
Matt Dietrich is his name.
How you doing? Malt Dietrich. Nice to meet you, Jimmy.
Catherine Grabham or Grabham. Either way, it's an interesting last name. Laura Vacnia? No. Vania. That's what it is.
Yeah?
That's an I is what I wrote.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, the letters.
Laura Vania, which is a tough last name to have.
Sounds like
also.
A country.
It does.
That she made up when she was 8. I'm moving to Laura's Vania.
or a description of a penis.
Yeah,
It's very Vania.
It's Vania.
Roberta Beyer, Justin Lutker, John Boner or Boffner. I'm not sure which.
Either way, thank you.
Yannick Stager, Natasha Bornstorff. Yes. And then another one, just Yannick, which is, I think, Yannick Stager. He just didn't give a last name.
No. Well, thank you.
So, and that's both donations.
Wow,
thank you so
amazing.
much.
Thank you.
Stephanie Lugassi, Jessica Leitke, Serena Watson, Audrey Rotenberry. That's it.
There we go.
I'm doing my best.
That. You got it, Jimmy.
Mindy Susan Carlos? Yes, I think. Susan Sullivan. Fuck, what? No, it's Mindy Swan Carlos.
Fucking
That's
Mindy.
W.
Thank you, Mindy.
Bryant Toole.
We almost blamed you for Jimmy's poor handwriting.
Jesse Hartman. Again, every week that guy comes through.
Thank you.
Marianne S. with no last name. Just the S. I don't know.
Good enough. That's fine. We're all right with that.
Kayla Roberts, Amanda McKelvey, Celesta Saliza Waits, Gina Egan, one of the Egan sisters.
Hey, the Egans.
Elizabeth Horegis.
Ooh.
It's Horegis twice. It's Horejs, and there are 2 of those words.
Wow. Well,
whatever that word is.
Horegis? That's her
Horegis.
maiden name, and she married a guy named Horegis?
She married a brother.
Hey, cool.
Good for you, Elizabeth.
Hey, you know what? Keep the gene pool tight.
I'm
Good for
proud
you.
of you.
Nice
You
work.
figured it out. Invader Zim 7, Kevin Dice. That's it.
Hey.
Steve Crumley, Lee Abhold, Amanda Burke, Colleen Shambaugh, Amanda Waltz, Craig McGeechan, Paul Ruest, Alex Leichart.
You're looking at me. You have words in front of me.
Alex Leichert. Kate Ives.
I'll buy that.
Janae Compton. Dustin Hines, which sounds like Duncan Hines.
It does.
It's spelled entirely different. Christine Leischel. Aaron Aaron Brzezinski Shipley.
I think she's going to go with Berzafuck from now on. I think that's going to be the new one.
Axel Rojas. Cole Finley.
Axel Rojas?
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Axel.
Oh, I thought you said Axel Rojas. I'm like, wait a second.
I know.
That's
I would have got it.
amazing.
I would have
all right.
found that, I think.
Thank you. Yeah,
I found that as a joke.
I thought you were, yeah okay.
Unless that is the fucking they were trying to get me to say Axel. That's possible.
Maybe.
It's maybe, yeah. Cole Finley donated like 17 times this week.
We love you.
Of like cents and then
okay.
a couple bucks here.
Thanks.
And then some cents.
Hey,
it was amazing to
we'll
watch.
We'll take anything, and
my
we
phone
appreciate
kept going
the shit
off
out of
and
it.
going, Cole is giving you cash, bro.
Thank you, Cole.
Stephanie Ponset, Stephanie Russell, Heather Norton, Madeline Fagan. Her daughter upped her Patreon for
thank
Madeline
you.
because Madeline doesn't
cool.
want to figure out Patreon. So
well, that's
I appreciate
fine.
it.
Thank you. Thank you and your daughter.
Brad Young, Sean Garner, yes. Chuck Lewis, Chuck, probably a coach. Jenny Chow.
Good coach.
Yeah. Jackie Fuchs, I assume, because it's otherwise is brutal. Rachel Coro, Danielle Leonardis.
All right.
I think. Alexander Calder. That's Alex Calder up there in New York, I think.
Oh, cool.
No, he's in fucking, I think he's in Canada. I don't.
Okay, Canada sounds. Yeah,
he's around.
Canada.
He's around. Nicola Elliott. That's what it is. Ian McKay, James Bishop, Peter Butler, Elliott with no last name, Joseph Minner, Guido Pip. I don't know what that is.
I like it.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Stephanie Fisher, Sally Averett, Pablo Conqueso. No, Diablo Conqueso.
Yeah,
I said Pablo.
Yeah.
I'm a dick.
Yeah,
I ruined a great name.
You did, but you corrected it. You got it.
Hannibal Lonsdale.
You've ruined greater names than that, Jimmy. Don't worry.
I've ruined much more common ones.
Yeah.
Haley Robinson Smith, Gaddis. I'm ruining this one. Sorry. Gaddis Stallsands. I think.
Damn cool.
Wavy Sky, which is fucking bananas. That's interesting.
Hey.
One Credit Classics, which is a guy on YouTube he fucking beats games with one credit. Which
cool.
is kind of interesting.
That's kind of neat.
Chantel Thornley Poole, Justin with no last name, Joe Miller, Emmy Dumont, Maya Clarice, Kay Overbay, Clinton Grout, Beth Higgs in the UK. Thank you, Beth. Heather Fowler, Georgia and Jackson, Jeremy Pendleton, Peter Martino, Amy Talia Ferrero. No, Talia Farrow. Jordan Henston.
Shit.
No, Jordan Heemstra. Bilbo Scallops? Bilbo Scoopins. That's what I wrote. I don't know.
Bilbo Scallops.
Michael Lane, Alex Eldridge, and Corin M. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts. You guys are fucking incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, folks, so much.
It's so important.
It really is. We say it all the time, but we can't tell you how important this is. Nothing. Man, we are Motown singers, and there's a lot of more people make money off us than we make off ourselves by far. We've gotten some bad deals and shit like that, and what you do for us really keeps us afloat and keeps us from wanting to bang our fucking heads against the wall because of other shit. So thank you.
The thank you is as important as your support.
It really is.
It's fucking amazing. Yeah. So truly thank you.
When you tell us that this helps get you through a day or this helps get you through work, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
With Small Town Murder, we had somebody tweet that they never believed that anybody was falsely convicted before, and then they heard that story and they go, "Holy shit! Now I'm completely opened my eyes. Now all I want to look at is so things like that. Just anything like that. Thank you guys for interacting with us. And what if they wanted to thank you personally online? How would they do that, Jimmy?
You can find me at Wisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Send whatever. I don't care what you send. It's all fucking hilarious to me.
We love it all. We love it all.
Well, how can they send hilarious things to you, James?
You can find me at Jimmy P is funny, or you can try and copy and paste my last name from the show description, or fuck it, try to spell it. Knock yourself out. See who you come up with, because it might not be me. So enjoy.
Send that fucker some weird
and then
messages.
laugh and send me a screenshot of the person you spelled out, and then we'll all laugh together. Do that at Jimmy P is funny and all that shit. But never mind all of that. We hope you enjoyed this crazy ass show.
My God,
because I enjoyed it a lot and enjoyed putting it together and laughing about it.
Yeah.
But all that shit doesn't matter, guys. Live from the Crime and Sports Studios. We will see you next week.
Bye.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.